Nice smooth jazz.
Hello, everybody. Welcome back to Darren After the Credits, number 47. I'm your host today, Darren McClymans, joined by my very special friends, Taz and Darth. Hello, ladies and gentlemen. How's it going?
Howdy.
Darth,
Howdy.
how are you?
I'm doing good, thanks. How are you? Sorry.
I am doing good. I've been excited. I'll be honest, these last 2 days I've been so excited because shows have been so good this week. Like the combination of all, I guess, 4 episodes this week. I'm like, yep, cannot wait to jump on here and talk about all 4 things that happen. Craziness on all fronts, all the time. It was a finale for a certain show. It was a penultimate episode for another. Sim and Lois, I think, had one of the craziest moments in the show's history. Like, I'm so excited to hop on here and talk about it with you boys. I will say before we get started, we are aware that it is election night and that we are starting our stream exactly when polls are coming in, when things are wrapping up. I'm as curious as things are going to happen as you guys, but we are going to try and make this mostly professional. I kind of want to make this a little dome of safety for the next hour and a half or so. And then once it's done, we can like peek behind the curtain and be like, all right, what's happening over there? So just PSA, try to keep most of the political stuff out of here. There's other live streams you could talk about that. I guarantee you tons of people live streaming reactions or whatever. And yeah, we're going to be having a good time. Like I even had like a little moment before this where I was like, man, election's going on. We're talking about like the Penguin. We're talking about Superman. But also I'm like, you know what? But I think I do think an escape from all that for people who don't like all that stuff is good. It's healthy. So yeah, let's jump into this week's episodes. Starting with, once again, Agatha All Along. Let me swap them again, because Taz, your darn background blends in too well.
My purple lights, I'll have to change those one day.
After Agatha's over, where it doesn't matter.
Yeah, I'll change it to the color of whatever the next show's logo is that we're gonna do.
Ooh,
yeah.
Nice.
Love it, just like a tradition.
Yeah.
No, man. I mean, Agatha All Along, Darth. This is obviously the series finale of Agatha All Along, or at this point in time, the series finale of Agatha All Along. Just in general, I mean, I've really enjoyed this journey that Agatha has taken us on over these last 7 weeks. What's been your kind of just like overall opinion on the show as a whole, and like the journey up until this point? Because I've had a blast. I don't know about you.
I have loved it. It's easily been one of like the most favorite recent show, but overall, it's been one of my favorite projects, just hands down because of how fun it's been, how captivating it's been for something so simple, like just a group of people walking through the woods. Do you know what I mean? And we're here every week, gripped, theory crafting and everything, and it's been great.
Yeah, I mean, all the way back when it was announced, like everyone was like, you know, like that was an announcement when they're like, okay, they're making an Agatha show. We're like, Agatha? Out of all the characters that get their own shows, Agatha? And I was one of the people that were like, all right, guys, this is a strange choice, but let's hear them out. Let's see what they have to offer. Let's not jump the chicken before it hatches. That's not an expression people say, but let's kind of wait our turn and like let's just see it first before we completely trash it. And I got shit for a lot of people for saying it. Like, no, like we don't need this or whatever. But I'm glad I was one of those people very early on that kind of defended the show, because since it's been out, people are like, oh, this is actually kind of good. Like, this is kind of nice. And then seeing like it's been one of the highest rated episodes. Like, you know, it's getting like millions of viewers every single week, while a lot of these other shows were dropping off after the first couple episodes and stuff like that. So I've loved that part of the journey. I think that's been a lot of fun. So we did do the final 2 episodes in this week's, like, they dropped episode, what was it, 8, episode 9, and I do see why they did that now. Kind of like now that we've seen it, because episode 8, obviously spoilers for Agatha. I don't know if I have to say that, but spoilers for Agatha if you've not seen it already. 8 is like the finale, I feel. Like, I feel like episode 8 is your traditional Disney Plus finale. Villain comes out, plot lines are getting resolved, things are happening, you have your big massive fights, and then episode 9 is like the epilogue to the whole show, which I thought was a very fascinating format for them to go into. What's your thoughts?
Real interesting choice, we shall say. I don't know. Okay, remember last week we were talking about like how important it is for both Agatha and Superman and Lois to stick the landing, but more so Superman and Lois because of how they're finishing. I'm gonna be real honest with you. Didn't quite finish how I wanted it to. It didn't quite land where I wanted it to. I didn't feel like we got everything. I feel like some things were waylaid. I kind like I was intrigued when it happened, but the more I think about it, the more I kind of, I don't want to say feel robbed, but it's kind of like, yeah. What about you?
No, I mean, I really liked the final episodes. Like, I kind of went into, like, I finished the episodes and I was like, those were some really good things they just did. I think it's just my opinion on the show thus far, though. Is like, I did want a little bit more from the things that they gave us. So, like, these things are really good. I wanted more stuffing in between the thing. You know what I mean? Like, it's, you know, it's like a pizza that's just really, really thin. It's like, this is a really good pizza still. I just want more of it. Like, I want more underneath the crust, if that makes sense. There's a lot of, like, things and ideas, especially in these final couple. Like, in these final 2 alone, where I'm like, oh, those are really cool ideas. Those are really cool things. I want a little bit more. And now that we've seen the show in its entirety, we can definitely look at several aspects of it and be like, oh, that's an element of the show I think they could have explored further or explored more, to the point where I don't even know where you do it exactly. Like, I feel like most of the episodes had good lengths. Maybe it's a little bit of me being selfish, of just being like, well, I want to see more of this character. I want to see more of this character. Like, episode 9 is mainly Agatha focused. Like, season 9 is like the backflash stuff we've been asking for, and I'm like, this is cool. You could do an entire season in this time era, I feel like. Or just, like, Agatha as a character is what, like, canonically hundreds upon hundreds of years old. There is so much story there, and they showed that. I think in the backflash is like, oh, okay. I want you to, I don't know. I did want a little bit more of it. But I do think the reveals of this episode, like the big plot twists in these final 2, were like, that's good. I really like the twists there. You know what I mean?
Really?
Oh,
really?
Did you know?
I landed on the other side, right? Because like, at first I kind of went, oh, no way. But then I was like, okay, well, this literally is just WandaVision 2.0. If that's what we're doing.
Right.
You know what I mean?
I think that's the point, though.
But that's contrived, in my opinion. Like, there was so many other options. Like the Patti LuPone episode, right, was peak. Like, it was so good. Like, especially like with everything else that came before it and like led up to that moment. And you had a chance to do something really, really different. And then, I hate to say it because it gets said so much, but they really did just go full MCU on it. And then, like, a criticism I would have had about WandaVision, like the fight at the end, like the cool thing with the runes happened, right? But Wanda was super duper powerful, but still an infant in her power and magic and her knowledge, right? And then you had Agatha, who was years in the knowledge, but everything she knew weren't going to be cutting it. It was only her succubus power that was going to be doing it. You know what I mean? Here we had two people that have known the craft. One of them apparently made the craft.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? And then we still just get blast. You know, like there was no creativity in there in the fighting whatsoever. We could have had like a full sword in the stone wizard fight. You know?
I really like that fighting moment actually, because I think it's like at the end of the day they are defeated in a very different way. Like it's like it's not about who is going to win that fight, it's who is going to be the one to get sacrificed, kind of. And I think that to me felt very different. Like I felt, to me, you're right in a sense though. Like I do agree with you in a sense where like it does turn, like there is a moment in the episode where I'm like, okay, we've entered the third act fight scene that we are used to expecting in every MCU thing, right? Like we entered there, but I do think how it ended, I liked it. I did.
Yeah, I'm not saying I didn't like the self-sacrifice. That was awesome, right? It's just the lack of creativity leading up to that moment.
I don't like how they don't show a lot of the fight. I will agree with you on that. Like, there's a scene where they show, like Billy goes over in the corner, and they're like, they're showing it from Billy while they're fighting in the backdrop. Like, no, show me that actually. No, I would like to see the giant witch fight that's going on right now. I am a little, I don't know how you feel. I am a little tiny frustrated with like Death and like what they've, I don't want to say what they've done, but I do feel like there's so many, we just don't even know what Death is really. Like I feel like they don't get into Death at all, and her relationship with the characters on the show, like they're very much okay. Yeah, she dated Agatha at some point in time, but we don't really know their relationship, what they mean to each other, who Death is, and maybe that's the point. Maybe they're saving that for, like, Death is a massive character. You could save her for, Avengers. You could save her for various different, she could be the villain of like, I doubt it, but like you're like Vision Quest or something, or some other project down the line. But I did want to, I just wanted more from some of these characters, I think, is my ultimate takeaway.
It would be weird to give context to how Agatha and Death met if not in her own project.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, like that would be the place to do it. I mean, we saw her pre-Darkhold as well, because she worked there with the little black fingers.
Yeah, I'd Be Flying agrees with you. Says it felt a little lazy with the fight. Okay, you know what? That's fair then. That's fair. I think I liked episode 9 more than I liked, episode 9 more than I liked episode 8, because even episode 8 did feel like a speed run a little bit. Like it felt like 2 episodes kind of pinned together, where it's like, okay, this is the final trial. And then they were like, oh, and also the finale, right? And I do kind of wish they were kind of 2 separate things, because it felt like we were speed running through the trials thing, where it's like, okay, she has her powers back, she goes and, all right, seance, memory Billy thing. And it was like, okay, we're sped through that a little faster than maybe I would have liked, actually. How did you feel about her character being wrapped up? The potions witch. I forget what names are bad. I'm sorry.
Jen. Sorry.
You okay?
Yeah, sorry. Jen.
Jen.
I feel like she deserved more.
Okay. Yeah, that's fair.
If we're not gonna see her, because it was so good how the reveal happened, and this is what kind of upset me as well. Is that we spent so much time dismantling the lore of Agatha. You know what I mean? Like seeing past the wall that centuries of killing her own kind, but just the curse of everything that's been following her around, and she isn't that person. Do you know what I mean? Like, I know we spoke last week about Iris' problem with giving the villains everything, like they've earned it. But she, other than like having a problem with her own kind and just killing people that attack her, she's not like all-encompassing evil, is what I'm trying to say. Like, she's a very complex character.
Yeah.
And we have the chance for so much more, you know, and then that's it, you know.
For who? Agatha?
Yeah, she's gone now.
I don't think she's
Yeah.
gone at all.
No, but she's a ghost, you know, and I'm gonna be so annoyed if it's just like a Dragon Ball thing and then she's back.
I love Daz's face. Just like, what?
Yeah, I guess I'm in for one wild watch through of this, aren't I?
I honestly loved how they ended Agatha, actually. Like, what I loved about it is that they weren't afraid to just make Agatha good again. Like, I feel like that is so tropey in a lot of these shows where it's like, okay, the villain gets their own TV show or movie and they go on like this redemption tour. And that's kind of like what the show is kind of showing us throughout the season. Where it's like, okay, she's growing this family, she's growing this coven, she's bonding with all these characters. And I don't think her arc was like, oh, I'm actually like learning my wrongs and forgiving myself. And like, it was like, by the end of the show, like, no, she's still evil. Like, she's still a piece of work. Her arc wasn't like, I need to be good. It's like kind of the opposite, actually. It's being like, actually, no, I would have killed these guys. Like, if it wasn't for you, I would have murdered all these people here. But I think her arc is like, but this guy, this one guy, I kind of like this one. I'm going to take him in. I'm going to follow him around. I'm going to go on his journey.
Like, yes and no, because like, well, we don't know how the succubus power works. It could be that she's like a magical vampire and she is genuinely fighting for survival. And she had already built up a reputation around the witches that they were warding against people like her, and that she had to be welcomed in to even attack some of the people with Nick, you know what I mean, when he was a baby. So it could be about survival, like the Penguin was talking about last week. Which then like adds another layer to her character, because then she's just a shark, and you can't really blame a shark for sharking, you know.
Right.
So because she's not like fully evil, that's the thing. It's like the propaganda machine has been there. Like, you got the whole witches are bad anyway, you know what I mean, and then she's a bad person in their community, so she's gonna be like just fully shamed and shunned and and exiled, you know. And then especially if she is being cursed by death, do you know what I mean? Like, say for example, like the Titanic and the Hindenburg and all of that is just because she would not give that woman her attention, you know. So
I think it was,
I wouldn't say she's like mustache twirly, and I struggle to think of Red Skull. Red Skull is mustache twirly, but he's like the only one in the MCU that I can think of that is.
I mean, there's a couple of those guys that are just like, like two-dimensional, just like kind of garbage. Like those very early phase 1, phase 2 guys that were just like, I don't know, like the Dark Elves or whatever, that were just like, yeah, we're evil, I guess, whatever, I don't care.
Yeah, whoever that guy was from Dark World.
Malekith
or whatever.
Malekith and the big dude. Oh my god, yeah.
Yeah.
Who cares?
But that's not who she is. I mean, because you wouldn't give that person the show and tell it from their perspective, because it'd be boring as hell. You know what I mean? So like that just shows that she's not that person.
Yeah, and I think that's a little bit of it, is like that the thing in me that wants a little bit more, because like there's a story there about like Agatha hurts people before they can hurt her, kind of thing. We're like, and I think that's great, but we don't see her getting hurt, kind of thing. Like we don't see the thing that leads her to become that person, and I feel like that would be so much more compelling if we got to see, like, the whole show is about her, again, killing witches before they can get to her, stealing their power, like putting her guard up so high so they can't hurt her. But show me why she feels like that. Maybe a bit of that's because of her son that we saw this episode. Like, maybe a little bit of it is like, well, I've been hurt, I don't want to that pain I felt when I lost my son, I don't want to feel that again. But she was doing that even before she lost her son. So what was the catalyst of all of it? What was, I that's the thing. I think there's so much story for Agatha and Death and Jen and all of these.
Sorry, you just like brought up a great thing, right? So Nicholas Scratch,
Okay.
One, love how his name was decided, right? Because I'm sitting there going, Nick Scratch, that's the name of the devil, and this and this, and then no, it's just a beautiful sentiment. And then that would put the father of the child in a love triangle between Agatha, Death, and themselves.
Is there a father?
Yeah, because no spell was no incantation was spoke you made from scratch.
Yeah, I kind of took that as there isn't a father.
Which
Like,
means
you-
banging.
Yeah, I kind of assumed like she literally made him from scratch.
By
Maybe
banging.
I read that wrong.
Yeah, with the old,
Is that
horizontal
scratch
mouth.
though? I don't know. I don't know.
Well, there are scratches involved if you're doing it right,
Okay, I just assumed it was like she literally made him with magic.
No, that's the whole point of what she was saying. Like there was no magic involved. This was a natural birth from scratch. Nick Scratch, unless it's an immaculate conception thing. Otherwise, she could have called him Jesus too. I don't know.
No metachlorian manipulation required.
Yeah,
Exactly.
fair enough.
Exactly.
I did love everything with the child stuff though within these two episodes. Like Catherine Hahn's performance of just like sometimes boys just die. Like her performance there, like cut deep, where it's like, oh, I feel like that. Like to me, that felt the first time we saw Catherine Hahn like truly vulnerable. Of just like, no, there isn't some facade. I'm not trying to lie to you. I'm not trying to whatever. Like sometimes boys just die, and almost like a starting to come to terms with that. She still hasn't come to terms with it, which is kind of why I want like a season 2 of Agatha, because I do feel like there's much more story for her to tell, especially how it ended. We can talk about that later because I have a couple theories on like where that story goes after that. Okay, let's talk about Billy really quick. No, Tommy really quickly. Because it is very, very deeply hinted. Not even hinted, it's basically confirmed that Billy puts... I'm sorry, Taz, spoilers.
You're good.
Billy puts Tommy in a different body. The kid who drowned in the pool. It seems like maybe Tommy's out there now doing something. Like riding on the water, like Dash from Incredibles.
Also,
what do you think we're doing with? Sorry, go ahead.
No, go on.
I mean, I was just gonna ask like where we think we're taking the Tommy storyline. What do we think we're doing with that? Where is he? Where we'll see him?
I hope those other boys, like some charges are being pressed, like because I know that a kid came out of this alive, but there's a part of that kid that died, and that's the only reason he is alive. So some charges need to be filed.
Oh yeah, those boys should be praying to Billy because that kid survived, or like the world thinks that kid survived, because they'd be facing jail time, like just drowning a kid in a pool.
Jesus, and they're just still out there. They're still out there, just doing what? Drowning more kids? Who knows?
Oh, I mean that's so real though. Like I had kids like that growing up too, where they, we're dunking this kid, and I was like, I don't know how to swim. Please don't do that, please.
That's crazy. You could have been a speedster.
God damn it! Why didn't they continue? Gosh dang it!
No conviction.
No, I mean, I'm glad Tommy's back. Like obviously, like. This year, I've said this since day one. I think the show is setting up Young Avengers. I think that's the main. Like, I think that's the main takeaway from the show. In reintroducing Billy to the main world, reintroducing Tommy. The big question going in was like, wait, how is Billy here? Where is Tommy going to appear? How would they be in this lineup? It felt very apparent to me those are characters they would want on the team. And then I guess we can kind of hop into that. Like, I am curious, like, where we are continuing the story of these characters beyond. Agatha, like this point in time. Go ahead. Sorry.
Since they have no, it sounds bitchy though, but since they have no problem with like repeating themselves, do you think that they might do a reverse of Multiverse of Madness, in that Wanda was out there trying to hijack another person's life, but then like they might find a consciousness of Wanda just floating around out there and then whack her into somebody else.
Mm.
And then all of a sudden you got Wanda back.
With a different actress playing her or something.
Yeah.
Oh, people would be so pissed.
Yeah.
The community would be so meh. I just don't think she did, period, to be honest. Like, the show didn't bring back Wanda, which I was wrong about. Like, I thought the post-credit scene of the show was going to be, like, her coming out of the rubble or something, or, like, I don't know, Agatha trying to bring her back, or something, like, some seance or whatever, bringing her back or something. I don't know. Like, the next, like, they've talked about Vision Quest being, like, part 3 in the, like, this being, like, a trilogy of shows, starting with WandaVision, Agatha, then Vision Quest.
Okay.
So, like, is Billy and Agatha in Vision Quest? I can't imagine. I can't imagine that's where they go.
I feel like if it's like not Young Avengers at the first thing they pop into, they have to be in Vision Quest.
Yeah.
Like, because what is even that going to be about? Like, if not finding out who he is, and a part of that is going to be finding out who he is as a father.
Yeah.
So, like, he has to stop by, right?
Yeah, something. I don't, like, Vision Quest just seems like such a different, like, tonally show than, like, not even tonally, like, a different genre of show than Agatha. Like, it seems like it's going to be super science-y, super science fiction. Like, we know Vision's in there, Ultron's coming back for that show. Unless it's like a post-credit scene, like, where would they fit in? Like they even said that, like some of the scoopers were like, oh, but Wanda's going to return in that show. Like, even Wanda would almost feel a little out of place in a show like that. I don't know.
Although, if Ultron is coming back, it would be ideal for her, given like he was like how Ultron was how she entered the frame. You know.
I hope Ultron sticks around, or like.
Oh yeah.
Like I am someone that's kind of always been like, can we do like a second Age of Ultron? Like, can we try it again? I don't know, with maybe like lasting consequences. I don't know.
Wasn't that confirmed recent? Like, not recently, but at some point that James Spader's coming back as Ultron.
He is, yeah.
Yeah, okay.
That's Vision Quest, yeah.
Okay, so yeah, that was confirmed. Okay, so I'm almost thinking too. The more I think about that show, I know we had slight elements of it in WandaVision, but if you guys remember that Vision comic that was like he created his like robot family or whatever, imagine we get elements of that in the Vision Quest show where he knows kind of elements of what happened during WandaVision and he kind of recreates that.
Oh my God! So their dad steps out and creates another family. Jesus
Right,
Christ.
like in his own way to try to, I guess, maybe understand what Wanda wanted in a way. That could be interesting.
Yeah.
So hi, Billy and Tommy. This is your half brother. This is your half sister. This is your robot dog.
Yeah.
And please be nice to your new mummy, who is also a robot. Look at their soulless eyes. They're so nice.
Yeah.
Could be interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I'm going back to it. I'm sorry. I do think I might slightly disagree with you, Darth. I really liked the reveal of Billy being like it being Billy all along. Like I genuinely really liked that reveal because I don't know. I didn't see it coming. I genuinely I didn't see that reveal coming. And like, is it like WandaVision? I guess technically.
So they legitimately pulled a WandaVision 2.0.
Yeah, like the reveal is that Billy created the Witch's Road. Like he kind of like he saw it through things in his room, created it the whole time. And I think the reveal that I loved the most was that Agatha knew it wasn't real. Like I loved the there's a moment where like the whole thing is like it's all a trick. Like she tricks witches into this song and chant, steals their powers. And then when the real one happens, she's just like, what the hell? I don't know this has happened. Like it's like a magician going on stage to do a fake magic trick and like pulling a real rabbit out of a hat or something, being like, Oh my gosh! How did this thing get here? How did this real magic come about? And I personally really had fun with that. I guess the criticism I have heard from people though is like, well, like what was the point of it all? Like, was it all kind of a waste of time? And I think it was just to kind of take Billy on this journey. And like I really like his final moment with Agatha in this episode of just like I killed these people. Like I killed all these people. I'm just like my mom. I'm just like you. I'm just like all these things. Like technically you saved a person. Like technically you saved a life through all of this. A life I would have killed otherwise. And I guess I don't know. Like I think this might be one of those shows that's like it's less about the journey. Or I'm sorry, it's less about the destination and more about the journey, kind of getting there, kind of thing.
My sadness with it is that witchcraft now just seems kind of bleak, you know. Like the Witch's Road, like I like the comparison to the Book of Vishanti, and like the fact that all of the pieces were being pushed in a certain way that kind of felt like providence of like the situation coming. Oh, providence. I know what I'm trying to say. The point is, it felt like magical destiny for this to happen and for them to be on the road, and for there not to be like an enchanted place for witches to seek safety and like to seek their heart's content just because they're not evil people. That's just again the propaganda. It's just poor MFers just rocking around the earth, just trying to survive up there. Like they got nothing.
Yeah.
They got nothing and nobody apart from each other, and half of them want to do each other in. Like it's not a great team to be a part of.
No, it's not. Which, like, I think part of me, like, it's very tragic that, like, Agatha has just kind of been, like, tricking all these witches over the years. But I also kind of like how, like, simple it kind of is, too. Like we're going as, like, oh, there's all this lore. Every week, Darth, you were, like, dissecting the song, right? We're like, okay, what does this part of the song mean? What does this mean? And I started laughing. I was like, oh, no, just a kid made it up. Like, there's actually no real, like, lore connected to any of the pieces of the song.
This is the other issue I had. I wanted to check before I made a fool of myself, right? The stuff in the room that makes him go isn't even his. It's Billy Kaplan's.
Yeah.
Like, it's not even his stuff. That's like tied to the whole Wizard of Oz and witchcraft and this and this. It's not even his stuff that sets it all up. Like with WandaVision, you had like 20 to 30 years of like PTSD, repression, anxiety, grief, like just full Batman deathly appearance level. Oh my God, I'm suffering, right? And like, yeah, it made sense that like the last person that was like meant something was robbed from her twice in front of her face, right? And all the power she had meant nothing. And so she has this big explosion of grief. That was profound and it made sense, right? This doesn't make any sense. There's no ties to what he's doing. It's not his.
Right.
I feel like I'm bagging on the show, but it's because I was so happy with episode 7. And then like it was all a dream. Ooh. You know, like just no. You had such good stuff. You were just cooking so well. You just like dropping pots and pans. Like it was so close.
I am curious about that though. Yeah, you're right. Like they weren't technically like William was into the witchcraft stuff even before Billy came along. Like before there was any ties to Wanda or Agatha or anything. Like he was already kind of into that, which kind of makes me think like we talked about a couple weeks ago. Like the idea is like is Billy like a Nexus being, whereas like he always needed to be in this direction. Like he always was destined to be in this body. Or maybe even he was drawn to that specific body because there was already a bit of that. Like there was the witch at his bar mitzvah or whatever. Like he was already into those kind of ideas and things that drawed to him, almost like an idea of like destiny, if you will.
This one maybe because the other Billies, as we saw in Multiverse of Madness, were the other guy.
Sure.
So
yeah,
maybe.
I mean, like, listen, like, I think there's a lot of holes in the show. Like, I think, like, as much as I've enjoyed this, there are things that, like, I wish could have been stronger. Like, I think should hopefully in upcoming Disney Plus Marvel stuff, like this was not made with a showrunner, a show Bible, and all these things. Like, I think these things should be improved upon in like Daredevil Born Again and Wonder Man, and those are the only two with the show Bible so far, I think. Yeah, I think everything else was in the old era. Vision Quest should also be in that same kind of realm. So hopefully they can be even stronger. And this is still in my like top 3, and I don't know where it is for you, Darth. I'd be curious after this episode. It's still in my like top 3 Marvel Disney Plus shows, I think, or like MCU Disney Plus shows. Taz, do you have a favorite Disney Plus show, like Marvel Disney Plus show?
It might be a hot take, but I would probably say either Hawkeye or Moon Knight.
Moon Knight for me, yeah, for real. Moon Knight's so good. And I love the big like gunfight at the end. I don't care.
Yeah.
I'm with you.
Yeah. And then probably WandaVision close number 3, only because I felt like that one kind of fizzled out at the end for me, just a little bit. I'm hoping that I really enjoy Agatha. Like I said, I've been kind of prepping myself to watch it. I rewatched WandaVision. I rewatched Multiverse of Madness, which I enjoyed both of them more on a second watch through, especially watching them so close together. I think that's really kind of how it should be done. Is WandaVision is meant to be watched on a binge, not necessarily week to week like it came out, and watching Multiverse of Madness immediately after that, because it's, you know, they run so closely together and are so closely interlinked. I think watching it as one complete story makes a ton of sense.
Yeah. I completely forgot what I was going to say. Oh, I do want to mention another kind of criticism for me from episode 8. I don't understand the suit too much, because he kind of just shows up with it, and as good as that suit is, I don't know if you've seen the suit, Taz. I hope you have.
I have.
You have?
I have, yeah.
Gorgeous suit.
It
looks like
it looks great.
1-to-1 from the comics, basically. Like,
yeah.
I don't read Wiki comics or anything, but like if you look the two next to them, they're like, yeah, that's just the comic. Like, it's so cool. Maybe I was missing something, Darth. I don't know why he had the suit exactly. Like, he kind of just shows up, and I was like, oh, okay, where'd that come from? All right.
that
Right, wasn't there something said last episode? I'm pretty sure. Maybe I feel like something was said, but it's crazy because everything in his suit screams homage to his mother. But the whole thing is, I hate my mom. I have mommy issues.
I'm not owning Wanda as my mom. I was like, she's not mom. She didn't raise me. She's birthed
Wanda.
me technically, but
yeah, Agatha's more my mom than she is.
Right.
You know. So what are you doing?
Yeah, that was one of those like third act things that the MCU does a lot, where it's like, oh, but now they have this new thing. And it's like, but why do they have that thing? Is it just because you knew from the boardrooms you wanted them to have that suit? Like, it's a sick suit. I really like it. I'm excited. I'm really excited to have I know there's some controversy like with the Young Avengers and the pics of them and stuff. I'm excited to see all these like Young Avenger suits together, like the Kate Bishop suits, and all of these kind of suits, like in, the like Miss Marvel suit and everything all together. Like, I think they're going to look really comic booky. I think it's going to look great. But yeah, he kind of just got it. It was like, all right, I'll put this on, I guess.
Yeah.
So what are final predictions as far as what the Young Avengers lineup is legitimately going to be?
I think, obviously, we know Kate Bishop, we know Miss Marvel, we know Cassie. Like, those are the 3 kind of just in there already. I think the show ingrains Billy and Tommy, so that's 5.
Yeah.
I think probably Ironheart, I think, makes sense.
What, Hulkling?
Scar.
Maybe. Potentially.
Yeah. I was going to say him. I feel like he has to be in there. Because if not him, you need Gaia, and I think Gaia is too OP. Yeah. And I think she might be a secret Avenger.
I'll be honest, I don't think we're ever seeing Gaia again. I think they're going to be like, she's way too powerful.
Yeah.
But they could do a secret Avengers.
They could.
And she could be a part of it, because she'd be ideal.
I think maybe Scar, and then I think like America as well. I think America Chavez will
yeah,
probably
you're right.
America.
Like, there's a couple others they could do. Like, they have like Isaiah Bradley from Captain America, Falcon and Winter Soldier.
Yeah.
Ooh,
There's a couple others they could throw in there as well. People are like, bring in Kid Loki. I was like, that would make no sense. Why would they bring in Kid Loki?
No,
Yeah.
no.
If you're gonna bring in Kid Loki, you might as well bring in Alligator Loki.
Or they could
down.
also just be like, all right, we're just picking 6 of those characters for Project 1, and then they could bring in like another set of couple, sprinkle them in or whatever for Project 2 or 3 or whatever.
And I definitely have a feeling is the way that they're gonna go with it is Kate Bishop is kind of gonna be the de facto leader of the group.
Yep.
And then by the end of it, maybe graduate to actual Avenger, just because I feel like she is still so much older than the rest of the young Avengers.
Yeah, for sure.
So it's kind of like, why am I stuck on the kids team when I could just
100%.
be an actual Avenger?
I have described her as like the Steve Harrington from Stranger Things, where it's like, I'm just stuck babysitting these guys. Like, I'm supposed to be on the Avengers. Clint put in a good word for me.
Right, and it's like, hey, Spider-Man is probably younger than me. Like, what the heck? Like, why does he get to be an Avenger? But again, I get stuck on the B team.
But that's the thing. Like, the definition of what what an Avengers is in the MCU is so flaky. Where it's like, anyone there at the time when they're fighting a bad guy is just an Avenger.
Yeah.
Like, the Guardians are Avengers or whatever. That's why I think the Young Avengers will probably be formed in the Avengers. Like, I think,
or maybe instead of Young Avengers, maybe they just go full on West Coast Avengers instead. Maybe. And, so that it can be anybody on it. But
do you think any of our guys, like our big guys, will get like an off-screen death that will, or like a really early death that will prompt the Young Avengers? Or do you think, again, it'll just be happenstance?
Like going into either Secret Wars or
just their own
Doomsday?
show.
I think I do think the Young Avengers will be formed in either Doomsday or Secret Wars. Like, I think it's going to be a situation they are just on the Avengers team working, like they are the paired characters together, kind of all the young characters, and then throughout that movie they're like, yeah, maybe we should, kind of make this a regular thing or whatever. Or like, I could see it like Miss Marvel and Kate Bishop probably be paired together. Like, I've been trying to make this team. Let's talk to them about it. She's like, no, don't talk to them about it. We're not doing
what
this.
Are we, some kind of Young Avengers?
Yeah, and then like by the end, it's like, screw it, fine. I guess we'll be on a team. I guess, whatever. Darth, is there anything that you want to mention? Obviously, like, this is the final bit of the show. Like, it's probably unless it gets a season 2, which I don't think is completely out of the question. He did not like that. He's like, no season 2 for me.
He was so disappointed by the finale. He's like, no, never mind.
I know.
He's like, no.
He's like,
done.
Screw this. I'm not talking
done.
about Superman. I'm not talking about Penguin. So what did you think of the final episode, Taz?
I think that I need to watch it, and I will hopefully have my review for it by maybe the final episode of Superman and Lois coming out.
Amazing. Yeah, no, I mean, I think it's much fun. It's been a nice, I think, little breath of fresh air for me. It's not perfect by any means. I think I ranked it like 23 in my like giant MCU tier list. Like, it's like kind of like in that middle. It's not some of the best. It's not some of the worst. Darth was so mad at Agatha. He's like, screw this. I'm leaving.
My laptop decided to die even though the wire's plugged in. Like, explain that one. Before we move on, are you going to move on? Yeah.
No, I was just asking you what your final thoughts on Agatha.
Okay, good. I had one really good one. I was like, no, that just threw me right off. But I had 2, so one of them I might come back to. How did you feel about Billy trying to like banish Agatha?
Oh yeah, I think that made sense. Like, I think in that moment he's just so pissed about like, no, like you did this to me, like, you did all this stuff and blah blah blah. I thought it was less realistic. Like, I didn't like how he just kind of like, he's like, oh, actually we're friends now again. All right, let's go travel the world together. Whatever. Like, I think that was very fast. The like, we're friends. Oh no, I'm actually going to banish you. Actually, we're going to go travel together. Like, I like the traveling together thing. Like, I think that's a fun way to end the show. it leaves you wanting more, but also satisfying. Like I think it's also a pretty satisfying way to end it. No, I think I like it. I think Wanda's gonna blow a gasket though when she finds out that Billy's working with Agatha. Like I feel like she's not gonna have a great experience with that.
Well, she won't have much to be able to say about it. Another thing, right, is their interesting choice to make Death more of a personal character, right? So it makes it interesting to what points they would be able to feasibly use Death again, right? Because
Sure.
if Death was going to come and interact with the MCU at any point, it would have been Infinity War / Endgame, right?
Sure.
Or Eternals, right? Or Thor: Love and Thunder at the end of Eternity, right? Like any of those would have made sense.
That's a good point, though. What was she doing in Infinity War when she just got half of the planet? I bet she's just chilling at work. She's like, "Whoa!" Just the millions of people down in the underworld or whatever. Where I don't, but you do bring up a good point though, like in terms of like the lore of it all. Because I was wondering it too. Is like, is this the first? You keep tracking the lore way better than I do. Like I kind of let things slide sometimes. I was like, it's too much.
I can't.
Well, that's my question. Is this the first like ghost in the MCU? Is this the first?
Yep.
Because I do want to know the rules on ghosts, because it's like, does Tony Stark have a ghost? You know, like I feel like the MCU has like 5 different afterlives at this point. Like there's so many like we had like the Morgan thing at it was like the deleted scene in Endgame where it's like, okay, so there's a heaven, there's also like a hell, but now there's also ghosts, and it's like again, did Tony Stark have a ghost? Did Natasha have a ghost?
I think that was the confusing part. I think he was in the Soul Stone in the same way that Thanos was for that bit, because
I agree with that.
Yeah, I don't think they would be able to depict heaven and make everybody happy.
Yeah, there's just like every show and movie now has their own rules, like set of rules for how things work, and it's like, yeah, it's catching up to them a little bit, especially now that we've done Disney Plus shows. Like Moon Knight's done a little bit of stuff with that, and Black Panther's had their own kind of afterlife as well, and now Death is a thing. I did really like how they did Death though in episode 8. Like I liked getting to see Alice again via Death.
Right.
Like I thought that was a cool way to like clue her in.
You just raised another fascinating point, right? Moon Knight, Talweddit showed us that there are like thousands and thousands and thousands of afterlives, depending on your belief, which also includes the entire hierarchy that those religions bring, right? So Death isn't the only person out there ferrying souls. You know, you're going to have Papa Legba involved. I think I think he's one of them. Anubis, like a whole bunch of other people, like Chiron ferrying people under on the River Styx, like a whole bunch of other people that are going to be involved. So that begs the question as to like, what is her ultimate role? Is it just sharing it, or is she like the end game of Death? You know, or is there something bigger and badder than her?
I'd be down if Death was like a sort of big bad for a certain something. Like I feel like she could be that if you can convince Aubrey Plaza to do more. You know what I mean? Like Aubrey Plaza apparently only joined on because she likes Catherine Hahn. Like she's a big like their friend, stuff like that, and like that's the main reason she jumped on. So what about like I'd love to see Death interact with Wanda. Like I think those two interacting would be very cool to see.
Well, I mean, depending on if she's dead or not.
Yeah.
But I kind of, so again, upon my rewatch, another small little detail that I noticed, small little theory, when the whole mountain was collapsing, I did see a little red flash kind of in the middle of things. Was that just her destroying stuff?
A whole,
or was that
like,
teleportation?
10 seconds after.
Or, yeah, was that like a teleportation? Was that like a protection bubble? Was that, you know, what was that? Again, I know people have talked about that forever, but I saw it again and I was like, oh yeah, like, there's something going on.
I just because like I thought this was the project to do it. Like I thought like, oh, they bring her back here. Like that just
weren't there
makes sense
references
to me.
to her throughout the show?
they kind of there's literally a scene a couple episodes ago where like Bill is like, is Wanda dead? She's like, yes, maybe, I don't know, I don't whatever. So it's
That's
like,
kind of the okay. So not even maybe the creators of this show are aware of what the legitimate plans are for her character.
we're
Also-
meant to think that she's dead. Like we're meant to be
Yeah.
like, oh,
Mm.
she's most likely dead, but maybe
She's
like
so popular. They're gonna bring her back in one way
Yeah.
or another.
I hate to say this, and it might be dark, but she does well under rubble.
Yeah.
So I think she'll be fine.
Yeah.
Um,
oh yeah, she'll be back.
Oh my god. Oh my god. Oh my god. Oh my god. What was I gonna say? Oh, I just had it. Okay, come back to me. God damn it.
How about this? You can bring it up again later
Yeah,
if you
I'm gonna need
come
to.
across
Yeah.
it. Just
Yeah.
one final thing for Agatha, because I do want to move on to the Penguin. Do you think we will ever see Jen again, or do you think she's done?
I have to see her again.
Yeah.
I will not put up with not seeing her again. Even if it's just in the background where she's just being successful and just thriving. That has to be the case.
She's another one of those MCU characters that are just like another powerful character out there that like you can be like, oh, like when there's the like inevitable portal scene or whatever it's going to be in Avengers where we get all of these characters together, back in my head to be like, all right, where is she? Gotta find her, pull her in here or whatever. Like there's going to be characters that they just don't pull from. I know it, and we're all going to be pissed off being like, all right, where's our favorite characters from phase 4 and 5 that you just forgot about or whatever.
I've remembered it, if that helps.
Okay, go for it. Send us off.
So, my name is Darth Bunyan or Fallible Fandom, so I will admit where I'm wrong. And it's not even that I was wrong, it's that it took them a while to do what I was searching for, right? So with the finale, I do have to give them props, right? Because I sat there critiquing the Multiverse of Madness setup rules that they were not abiding by. As we found out in the finale, or just before, Death's entire presence is because of the rules that they set up, which is fascinating and amazingly done. Because not only does she have personal stakes in the game, i.e. Agatha, she has professional stakes in the game because Billy shouldn't be kicking around, which she doesn't like.
Yeah.
So good on them for sticking into it.
Yeah.
You know, I was expecting like some ghost demons and this is unnatural again, but you know, we got something a little different, and I'm happy with that. Certainly kicked it up a notch with Punishment, you know, but okay. And also, I love that they're trying to set up more rules. The fact that Death cannot take anybody that is not ready to be taken, it seems, because in their initial encounter, when Rio was and Agatha were fighting and they were goading each other, she was like, "I just steal my power." She's like, "You know I can't. It will kill me." We didn't know what that meant until now, obviously.
Yeah.
And then she's like, "Well, you just kill me. You can't. You're not allowed." Oh, so there are rules.
Yeah.
What does this mean? You know?
I just so desperately want to see more of those two and like what their history was, because there's so much there with both of those characters, and I just like I'm craving to see more. As one of those things, like I don't know if we will. Like if Phase 4 and 5 has taught us anything, they introduce really cool things, and then we just don't get back to it because it's just so much that they're working on. Agatha feels like it could be one of those things where it's like, well, I don't think we're getting back to a lot of these ideas and stuff.
Quickly as well, Agatha at the end when Billy's like, "Why won't you just leave, damn it?" And then she's like, "I can't face him."
I like that a lot.
And at the time, I was 50-50 on like whether she met the devil, because she's definitely going to hell, or she thinks, "Oh, I'm going for greener pastures and I can't face my son in heaven." you are aiming way too high with the amount of murder that you have committed. By the way, like, god damn,
Yeah,
if the bar is real low if you
probably
sneak in those
thousands of
pearly
lives.
gates.
Yeah,
You know, oh my god. So yeah, really 50-50 on who she was talking to there. That was fascinating. Um, and I know I said I'd be like, I'm going to be annoyed if they do like a whole Dragon Ball wish fix. But do you think it's in the cards, given the um the trinket that was Agatha's whole personality and had Nick's hair in it? Don't know where that dandelion came from, by the way. Um, the his hair in it, and then it's in reality, it's solid, it's a part of the universe. Then she picks it up, and now it isn't corporeal. It's a part of her, and it's glowing.
yeah, yeah.
So
I was curious about that. 'Cause, yeah, 'cause she was able to take the what, like, yeah, the little necklace, and
mm,
okay, yeah, because like Agatha's dead at the moment, right? Like that spoiler tells. I'm sorry. Um, like she died. She's also a character though I could see like finding a way to come back, kind of thing. Like she's just gonna be traveling with Billy for a while. I could see a world where she somehow does a magic thing to bring herself back, or Wanda does a thing, or Billy does. Like it's not to me out of the realm of possibilities to somehow bring her back. Weirdly enough, we get Agatha back next month in different context with What If, which is kind of crazy.
oh yeah.
So
Ooh.
yeah, no, like
Ooh.
actually that's really crazy. Like in terms of
Ooh.
Marvel, like we got a lot of content coming up these next couple months.
Kahori better be in there. I swear to God. I'm gonna
I
be
hope
so
it
annoyed
is.
if she's not in there.
Did you see the second season, Taz, of
I have
What If?
not actually. I have not.
Gotcha.
I
Kahori's
saw
a
the first
badass.
season, but I need to watch season 2.
Yeah.
I'm not gonna lie, you will be disappointed by the end. Talk about contrived. Jesus Christ. Right? They went like
That
6, 7 episodes in, and they were just like, shit, we have done nothing to line this up, everybody. Like, what do we do?
that's kind of why I
We
didn't watch the second season, as I didn't hear as great of things about it as the first season.
we
And
kind
I
of fought a
didn't-
little in the second season. Like we we agreed on some things, and then we were like, all right, we kind of brought up the boxing matches a little bit.
Yeah.
Okay, we have to move on to our second show though. We have to. We
Yeah.
absolutely have to. Which is the Penguin.
The
Um,
Penguin.
Oh boy, the penultimate episode of the Penguin. I've been saying all season, this season's going on so long, it's been forever, and now we're here. I'm like, oh, summer's over already?
Yeah.
Damn, man.
Yeah, I don't want it to be over.
I know. And there's no return. I guess same with Agatha, but like there's no return. Like this is it for the Penguin, most likely.
Yeah, until the Batman Part 2.
Batman Part 2 in 50 years.
Yeah, really.
At this point, I feel like the show could be called like Oedipus Oz. You know what I mean? Like, I'm just getting just such a strong Oedipus vibe from this guy from this episode. It's criminal.
Yeah. Taz, let's properly start with you. You didn't talk
Yes.
about Agatha. So what was your thoughts on the Penguin?
This was quite a wild episode, and they went down a lot of routes that I didn't necessarily see coming until we got into the episode. There were a couple of things that, while I was watching it, kind of came up very predictably. I was like, oh, what if this little thing happens here and then it happens? And like, oh, what if this little thing happens and then it happened? But I was very shocked kind of going into it that this is where we took it. We started off with some flashbacks. It was a pretty lengthy one too. And I know we were talking about it last week. Like, are we gonna see kind of the backstory of Oz and what happened to his brothers and that type of thing? And we get the full story of it, and that is pretty much the beginning of the Penguin. And the way that we leave this episode off, it's all bets are off going into the finale. Like, I have no idea where we're gonna go, how things are gonna wrap up, but Oz is really in a tough spot, and I think again that fight for the throne is really where we've been leading the whole season, and that's what we're gonna get in that finale.
Yeah, like I kind of feel like we are just setting the board so perfectly, like in such a perfect way going into the finale. Like I feel like our our hero is like almost down for the count. The villain has everything. It's just the upper hand.
Yeah.
You know. I thought we were gonna lose someone this episode. Like there was like two like back and forth between the two characters. I was like, all right, one of them is gonna happen or whatever. Like this episode was a big one for Oz's mom. Like it was very much focusing on her, his relationship with her relationship with Oz, and Oz's relationship with his brothers. And I was like, all right, like very cliche setting up for a character to die. We didn't kill her. Like I was like, okay, this would have been the episode to kill her. Like structurally, does it fit in the finale to kill her? I don't know.
Potentially, but based off of what we saw this week, based off of that back and forth that she had with Sophia, and seeing now the backstory of the fact that Oz basically killed his brothers and that it's just been him and his mom the whole time, there's almost a part of me that's like, yes, right now Oz cares and he wants to protect his mother and that type of thing, but like, does he really even care about anyone? Like Sophia tries to keep bringing up, is like, Oz is cold-blooded. Like, does he actually even give one shred of care to anybody in his life? Yes, when he kind of comes out of the rubble, he's like, oh, where's Vic? And he's looking for his mom and all that. But like, at the end of the day, if he's sitting on his throne and all the bodies are around him, does it really matter? Because he's achieved his goal.
So I would argue your point and say the whole reason that this is a goal is for his mother, right?
Yeah.
The only thing that I would counter myself on that is the very, very, very misguided view that he had of that Rex Calabrese, I think his name was.
Yeah.
Right, the one that had the car. That he's like, oh my god, everybody loved him. He just walked down the street and they're like, oh, there he is. Ooh, hi. It's like, no, he was just a straight up gangster that was harassing and beating people up.
Right.
Like, so like he idolized that kind of life, but who's to say that would have even been like his goal in life if not for what his mother would have said?
Yeah.
Right.
I think those flashbacks did massive things for our like perspective of Oz.
It really
because
did.
like, man, like I think you're right where it's like, I think he cares very deeply and he will do a lot to protect these people that he loves. But I almost think if anything gets in the way of like his path to the path that's going to bring him the most love, those people might be cut out, right?
Right.
Like,
I mean, you saw how quickly he flipped on his own people after the fight with Sal and everything. When the car comes in, he opens up the back and the C4's in there. He doesn't even say, hey guys, there's a bomb. Like, maybe take some cover. He's just like, nope, I'm out. Peace.
Yeah. Gotta save my breath for running.
Yeah.
I thought the stuff with the brothers, like the flashbacks of the brothers,
it was
so
rough,
grim,
fascinating, and like I made sure to stay for like the after, the like inside of the episode kind of thing, because I felt like
loving watching those.
Those have been great. They've been giving us such good insiders, but like I was very curious about it because I was like, okay, what exactly happened in that scene? Because I feel like you can interpret that scene, multiple different ways. At first, I was like, oh, maybe he just thought his brothers would make it out by themselves. Like, maybe he just, he was like, oh, they're strong, they can do it. I was like giving him the benefit of the doubt. Like, okay, maybe it was an accident. I think the inside of it all was like, no, he kind of did it on purpose. I really like the idea where it's like, he
knew exactly what he was doing and what it was going to lead to, and he just took this opportunity.
Yeah, it was like in his mind, he was like, well, I didn't kill them, I just didn't save them. Like, they put themselves in that situation, and I just kind of went home or whatever.
I'm not going to kill you.
I'm glad you said that.
Save you.
Yeah, because we've literally been giving him far too much credit every goddamn week, right? Building him up into this, oh no, he's a great guy. He's a great guy. Just because he shows some depth and vulnerability.
Yeah.
But that's the saying, like if anything comes into contradiction of the ultimate goal, you are dead weight and you are getting pushed off the boat.
Yeah.
Like it's horrible, and like he's
Yeah.
vicious with it. Like his ultimate goal was to like get the attention of his mother. That was it, because like as you saw, it's, do you want to like do this with me? Nah, maybe later. I got to do this. The second the other boys come in, it's I'm a zombie. So he wanted what they had, right? Just I wanted attention from mum. To get that, he broke her, and she said the only way that I can keep going is if you get me this. So like,
Yeah.
he has to get that. The only thing is like, the only thing that's gonna make this like absolutely different, so perfect, is if he gets it just after she's gone, so she doesn't see it, or
And
she's
then
the cost of
not,
it.
Right. And then he's still never truly happy.
Yeah, because he does not deserve to be happy. Like, I know we talked like with Agatha all along, like giving the villains everything. Do not give this man everything. They say the city's going to be his. He deserves nothing.
Yeah.
No, and there's been a clip, I don't know if you guys have seen it, with Colin Farrell talking about it. He's like, if anybody roots for Oz or likes Oz by the end of episode 8, like, you've got problems, basically.
Ooh.
So he's going to do something even more terrible, it seems like.
I hope I called it 2 weeks ago.
Which
Just
was, yeah.
With the mother. Yeah.
Which I could definitely see. Again, like, everything's, the fact that he killed his own brothers, I think anything's on the table at this point now.
Yeah. I really like the quote. Like, again, like the insider quote I thought was really fun, where it's like, when his two brothers died, the love for all three of them his mother had went into him, like went into one person.
Yeah.
And that makes so much sense to the Oz that we know. Like, what kind of like his journey, like the love his mother has for him, obviously we've seen, but also like I think his big-headedness, like where he comes from, where his morals kind of come from. Like, that makes so much sense to me.
I do really think, though, from this episode, I know everybody's kind of been saying, outside of obviously Oz himself, Sophie is the kind of standout of the show. But I really think his mom is kind of the MVP, especially with that kind of back and forth scene where she really held her own and was like, hey, I know my son. He's gonna take down Sal, and then he's coming for you. And that's exactly what happened.
Yes and no. Like, it only happened because he was fighting an old man.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. And that was kind of a very contrived death. It was just like, well, he's just gonna have a heart attack and die.
Because he was doubled over as well, like bent over, like just basically with the posture of "don't hit me," like he'd lost the fight, and then he said, "Like, I beat you, Salvador. I beat you." It's like, you idiot.
But then also a shred of him was just like, come on, I couldn't win fair and square. And he has to unload a couple shots at him, just like, yep, I did that.
Right.
I think he had to do that for credibility, because there's no way he could say, oh yeah, no, his heart popped while we're fighting. Nobody's backing that guy.
Yeah. But he took the ring though.
Yeah, for sure. I have to say, while we're talking about Sophia, how, again, you're right about her performance, absolutely incredible. And it was interesting to see her time with, is it Gia? The niece? Like, just, wow.
Yeah,
wow.
That was...
trying to do everything she could to just steer her from the path that she was walking, which, like, you could see she was suffocating in the outfit and the persona that she'd built up, which, again, like she called out in the episode, was of her father's making anyway, even if it was in defiance of him,
right,
which was awesome, absolutely awesome. Like, the whole show's writing is outstanding. And then when she says, "I want freedom," and then she stepped out of the car. Every part of me thought she was in Italy. I swear to God. And then she's just out in the east side, for God's sake. It's like, how's that free? I wonder where she wants to end up. I think she's gonna be dead by the end, to be fair.
Sophia?
Yeah.
A part of me thinks so as well. I mean, as much as I would love for her to go into the Batman Part 2 and, you know, still be kind of a threat or a force or whatever, yeah, I think maybe the only person that comes out alive at the end of this is Oz.
Yeah.
And
and like, yeah, because I think they've done a good job at like showing that she is like the lesser of the two evils in some ways. Like I think that might be what they're going for, and which is why she dies. Like, I think the point of the show is to show the corruption in Gotham, like show the
and
corruption.
she's kind of like, not that she hadn't snapped before, but she like really kind of snapped in this episode. Yeah, this like, was really that like descent into madness.
Well, yeah, like she had that moment where she's realizing like, oh, I am just like the people who created me. Like, I am doing the same thing to this little girl that they did to me and put me in that spot. And like, yeah, like she's kind of like there was a second there was like, is she gonna give up? Like, is she gonna just let it all go or whatever? And I was like, no, maybe. Like now it just seems like I maybe I'll let it go after he's dead, like after he's in the ground. Maybe then. Yeah. Which could do Gotham good if she just kills everyone involved in this, you know, this giant war or whatever. I guess people would just take those spots, though.
Right. Again, I will bring this up. Not that he needs to be there, but now Sal Maroni is dead. Where is Batman? Where is Batman? What is he doing?
Died. Where is he?
Yeah.
Yeah. Is he just like, you know, just sitting in the Batcave chilling, and he's like, okay, I'm waiting for my chance. We're going to see. We're going to just wait and see how things play out.
Yep. Just an entire explosion in Gotham. Like,
yeah. Yeah, another big
what's going on over there?
Another big bomb went off. He's like, no flooding this time? Okay, we're good.
They found my only weakness, daytime.
Yeah, that's true.
That is a good point. Like, there's not a... I almost want to say there's not a lot he could do, I guess. Like maybe he did go investigate it, but like,
I mean, he was out during the daytime at the end of the Batman when he was, you know, helping people get out of the flooding and everything.
Yeah, but that is usually when he sleeps. Like,
yeah.
There's that bomb.
Maybe he worked so far. Maybe he worked so hard. He's just been sleeping the entire duration of the Penguin. He's just
honestly,
like, I need a vacation.
Like, I bet he was there. Like, he's there, like, minutes or, you know, however long after the thing. He's kind of, like, watching from afar, seeing exactly what the situation is. Like, I bet people would have scattered by the time he would have got there.
Right.
So...
I mean, maybe in a weird, twisted way, it's kind of like, well, maybe just let the gangs take care of each other. Like, he's like, all right, I'm just gonna stay back right now. There's no real innocent lives in danger, so we're just gonna sit back and relax and kind of just let it play out. It's kind of like when you're playing a video game and two enemy factions are fighting each other. You're just like, all right, let's just kind of sit back and see how this plays out.
That's real dark.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, that's real dark. That's real dark. I know it's like a whole like detective noir situation for Batman at the moment, but that's dark. Goddamn.
Do we have any kind of final theory? I guess we've kind of been talking about it the whole episode, but any kind of final theories or speculations or...
Yeah, so my only thing is, like, how level of a playing field is Oz gonna try and create, right? Because, is he gonna do a thing where he either does something so fantastical that all of the other factions, like the Triads and I forget the Irish family's name, and then the others, you know, like, because at the moment he has no power; it's all reliant on their power. Like Vic turning up with an army, you know what I mean? The city will be his. Is it all going to be like a masquerade, or is he going to pull off a badass move or a coup? You know, because at the moment it's I'm bringing the product, you're bringing this, you're bringing this, you're bringing this. But at that point, the city is theirs. It's not his. It's a democracy. So at which point does he become the de facto leader penguin?
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Go ahead. No, it's fine.
No, so I'm kind of thinking, I know I've been saying this for weeks, but it ends with him sitting on his throne of the Iceberg Lounge. He's got his top hat, he's got his umbrella, he's got his cigar, and he's like, I am the penguin.
Yeah.
Like that's
Right.
how I envision it ending, but how he gets to that point, I think, it's pretty much inevitable. I think his mom's gonna die. I think there's a good possibility, Victor comes back and he dies or has to, flee the city or something.
No.
And same with Sophia. Either, in order to take her out, he's got to kill his mom and kill Victor as well.
Yeah.
Or maybe she gets away to kind of regroup and fight another day, but kind of allows Oz to take over.
Yeah.
And one other small thing I wanted to mention, I don't know why it bothered me so much this week. I think it's just because it was said a lot, but they kept referring to him as Oswald Cobb. Like, we know they've been saying it this whole time, but the Cobb instead of Cobblepot, like, why?
Actually, done it, yeah.
It just like, why? I don't understand that. Like,
Yeah.
just
trying to make it makes no difference. It really doesn't.
Doesn't.
Does
It doesn't. It just feels weird. It just feels like they're just saying the wrong thing. Like, I know it doesn't necessarily change anything thematically, but it almost makes me think, okay, are they scared of the source material in a weird way? Like, again, nothing from the show has shown me that there's any issue with it, but I just find a little weirdness with that. And I noticed that it stood out to me this week, and that's why I mentioned it. Again, not the biggest deal, but just kind of a small nitpick.
So so you're still like just flying into the mystery. So like you don't know of anything that will, like, say for example, he's sitting in the throne. For a start, he has no guys, really. They've just blown up, right?
Yeah.
So what is it that the other guys are gonna? What is it that he's gonna do that the other guys are gonna, like, for want of a better word, bow down to him on the throne? What do you think he will do?
Maybe just the fact of him, taking out this big threat that is Sophia. Like, that will maybe earn him the credit and the respect and maybe a little bit a healthy dose of fear from the other crime families, from the other just criminals of Gotham, and they'll rally behind him in a very similar way to how Sophia kind of walked in, killed their whole family, and was like, hey, I'm in charge now. Oz could do the very same thing.
Sure.
The thing is because they spent so much time showing Sophia alone and afraid at the top, and like just with Julian, and like, I don't know, I just don't feel like her forces are as heavy as they are implied to be. I mean, it feels like she is more on her own than we think.
I feel like she's more of like a scrappy militia than a, well-funded PMC. I don't know why that's kind of the analogy, but
because she had to go with Sal, right?
Is they had to combine forces to even have
a
bit of a chance. And now Oz, from the previous episode, has the support of all the other crime families.
Right.
So
it's interesting as well. Sorry, go on.
No, I think that you're right, there is going to be kind of an imbalance as far as at least, manpower goes.
What's interesting as well is last week we were at the point where Oz had all of the relevance but no power, and Sophia and Sal had like a whole chunk of power but no relevance. And now she's just turning the game into 3D chess, and I don't even know what her end goal is anymore, because before it was to have the same throne, you know, in an endless cycle of no honor among thieves, and that was just depressing as hell to think about as well, how real that is. But like, where do you think she would want to end up now?
I think it's become a lot more personal. I think it's become less of, I'm going to do things right, I'm going to prove my father wrong, I'm going to prove there's another way, to, oh shoot, I've kind of become the very thing I've sworn to destroy. However, there's this guy out there that is even worse than I am. Somebody who has killed his brothers, somebody who has, weaseled his way up the, hierarchy of power in Gotham for years. Somebody who is responsible for me going to Arkham for 10 years, and has continued to make the lives of everybody else in Gotham miserable the entire time he's been trying to, just, squeak by and keep gaining power and just hold on to any scrap he has. So I think ultimately now Sophia's goal is just to kill Oz, or at least break him in the sense of exposing to him what he's done. Like, hey, you killed your brothers. You caused your mother this much pain and agony and stress.
Do you think that's what they worked out with those lights? Because you keep saying it like they know. Because we're the only ones that know that Quab killed his brothers. Really?
I'm guessing that it was something that was either off screen with Dr. Rush, getting through to her, or it happened in that conversation or at least Sophia put the pieces together, like when Oz's mom kind of broke down there for a second, was hallucinating, like, oh, where are they, that kind of thing. I'm thinking maybe that is sort of what allowed her to put those pieces of the puzzle together, and was like, oh, maybe they didn't just die. Like, it sounds like Oz was actually responsible for it.
I was saying to my friend that Sophia was kind of the perfect person for Mrs. Cobb to lash out at, because she totally gets it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So that's why she wasn't seeking retribution when struck, which was great.
I think in a weird way she was almost kind of proud of it. It was like, oh, okay, you still got some fight left in you. Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, that was a fantastic scene. Like, I just her standing her ground and then slowly watching her transition into not knowing where she is, and that was fantastic. Like, absolutely phenomenal.
She was definitely the MVP of the episode.
Oh yeah.
Yeah,
absolutely. No, I thought she was great. Yeah, no, I think I agree with like a mosh posh or whatever everyone's saying. Like, I'm thinking I think Mom has to die. I do think that's going to end up happening. Darth, I really like your theory about Oz having to shoot her. Maybe there's a moment she gives him the sign, being like, "You can do it. Just take her down," kind of thing. I'm thinking maybe Victor, maybe he just leaves. Maybe he's like, I don't want to work with someone who's going to kill their own mother to get what they want, kind of thing. Maybe that's how he loses him. And then with Sophia, I could see her staying alive and kind of just being a background character, like you said, kind of just, she gets defeated, she kind of goes to her corner of Gotham for a while. Maybe we see her pop up in the Batman, or I could even see maybe she shoots herself or something. After losing, she's like, all right, well, I lost. Let's just kind of end it or whatever.
Is that what you think, quote unquote, freedom for her is then?
Yeah, that actually, the fact that you bring that up, I kind of had a dark theory there for a second when she was kind of like, oh, this is what I've become. The whole fact of the matter of where did this all start for her?
Yeah,
was when she found her mom hanging in the room, and she became the Hangman Killer. So, that was kind of my dark thought there.
Yeah. Would
Do you know
be.
what that would be crazy, right? Because obviously, Oswald is going to be like charging in to go and defend his mother, and then Victor's going to ride in. I used the thing the thing earlier, like Lord of the Rings with Gandalf coming in with the riders of like Rohan or whatever they're called, with the big shining light saving Helm's Deep. Like he's going to come in with the whole triad and like everybody else, and then I really hope that it becomes a choice between saving Vic and his mother, because like because of the conversation that they had, like it would truly cement them. You know what I mean? Because um so far we've only had a few episodes of them actually together since they've had their fight, right? Because
yeah.
the whole time Victor's had a different attitude and felt like a prisoner, and then we've only had like so much of them together, and then a lot of it's been them apart doing all sorts to get the business going, which is fine. But to truly cement them at the end, I think they need something like even more shocking than just talking him through his first murder.
Yeah. Well, with that being said, we talked a lot about the Penguin. We have a lot of theories. We have a lot of thoughts. Yeah, we're gonna be saying goodbye next week. It's pretty crazy. We're at the kind of end of this era of lineup of shows already. We're heading towards the end.
Yeah.
Can we say sorry quickly
Go ahead.
as well? Just the fact that like he killed his brothers for his mother's attention. So if he does end up offing her at the end, just wow.
Yeah,
Wow.
the fact that in the end it kind of was for nothing.
And yeah, because like he could have had like some semblance of what everybody else has. He could have had like a little family trio, you know what I mean, extended that with sons and daughters, and had their own little like crime family going and vying for power. But he chose the selfish route instead.
Yeah, but and like I could see it in his mind being like, well, this is what she wants. Like she wanted me to take back the power. She wants me to be in this position for Ma. Putting himself in that kind of situation. So yeah, I think you guys might be right. I don't know. I think she's dead either way next week. I do think.
She's gone.
Yeah, and it also really shows how he is not only selfish, but when he gets scared of losing his power or losing, his status, he gets trigger happy, and he's always gotten trigger happy as far as that goes. It seems like.
Yeah.
I do also briefly just want to shout out whoever the kid was that played young Oz.
Really
was
good.
Great.
Fantastic.
It was really good.
Absolutely.
Sorry.
One more thing.
Hilarious that drops detective just popped up out of nowhere like a bad zit. It was so funny. Just look, it's the Penguin. You survived. Bang.
Yeah.
It's like, you of all people, come on. Where have you been? God damn. Sorry. Okay.
What did you just call me?
Yeah. So even then, like one episode away, he still does not accept that moniker. So later on, it's going to be a massive step.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, we need the monocle too. Speaking of moniker, we need the monocle.
Oh. Right. And also, how the hell do you have the episode called Top Hat and not have that appear?
I thought that was the finale. I was so excited. I was like, all right, that's going to be the final scene. Is going to put on the top hat, the suit and tie, the cane.
I mean, obviously that was reference to that movie that they were watching, but, they did have their top hats. They had those, like, cane umbrella thingies.
Lame.
So, I think that's all part of his costume that will be put together at the end of the finale.
And the magic trick that Sophia did. Also, just that if she does make it to Batman 2, like, Robert Pattinson's going to have to address the fact that he knows her sister.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
That is very true.
I'm done. I'm done. I'm sorry. I'm done.
Superman and Lois.
Lois.
Superman and
Luther.
Lois. Season
Luther.
4, episode 6. We're in the back half. I'm sad. We're only 4 episodes left of the season. Oh, this episode, man. Listen, me and Taz kind of dodged on it a little bit last week. We talked about a couple of things we didn't absolutely adore. I spoke about it on Twitter a little bit. But you know what? This episode is exactly what we were talking about. Where it's like if you have if you go from an S episode to like an A episode, they came back with another S episode for us, I feel like.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah. I think it definitely started kind of slow, but the moment we got the big fight scene, I was like, okay, this all makes sense now. Like, this is what we were leading to. This might be not only one of the best scenes of the season, but one of the best scenes of the entire series.
Yeah.
Like, the fact that the audience has been talking about Michael Cudlitz being such a physical presence, his physicality, him being physically larger than Superman, like,
yeah,
he could beat the crap out of Superman with nothing. And what did we see? We saw a street brawl between Clark and Lex under some red sunlight. Incredible.
Yeah.
Incredible.
Yeah.
I've never been prouder of my boy Clark Kent. I could not believe he pulled through. Lex, how humiliating. He humiliated your ass. I cannot believe it. You had him in the perfect situation. No one would judge Clark Kent if he got his ass beat there. Lex is humongous. He's huge. I'd be like, Clark, it's fine. I get it. Like,
You got
had
old man
Luther,
pop.
come on.
Calm down.
like he had him in his advantage. Like he set him up. He had all the situations. He should have beat him, and you still got your butt whipped.
Clark is depowered to begin with. Plus, you add on the red sunlight on top of that.
Yeah.
Yet
Old man
Lex
hot.
still loses.
Yeah.
I don't think Clark's like, oh, like I don't think anybody won tonight. You absolutely won tonight. I think you won on every regard. Clark had Lex had his moment where he's like, no, now they see you. Who sees you? I was waiting for a shot where like all of the people of Smallville are watching this happen, and his reputation is ruined. No one saw that. Only 3 people saw it. Were 2 kids who loved it. They came out, were like,
yo, Dad, that was cool.
And even Lois had a moment just like, actually, let him cook. Actually, I'm actually not against this.
Not hating this. Yeah.
The only person...
He deserved it, didn't he?
Yeah, no, the only person who was upset by the situation was Clark and Lex. Like, Clark was the most upset about the situation. Like, that's all this happened. Now you've just gained more confidence that you can beat him without your powers.
I think the other side of that, though, playing devil's advocate, and something that I'm definitely going to talk about in my video, I've been working on the script throughout the day, is that we saw Lex break down throughout this episode. It started with him just being angry and destroying things, and he, loses any support he had from the people of Smallville when he just yells at everybody and again causes kind of a very public scene. And he's been doing that the last couple of episodes. He got really angry at the diner with his daughter and that type of thing. So he is showing increasingly how unhinged he can be.
Oh yeah.
Even his assistant Amanda saw that and was like, hey, like, I'm not sure I want to be a part of this. Like, that's not how you should handle things. But then we see Clark do the exact same thing. Is he gets angry. We've never seen Superman or Clark like this throughout the course of this entire show outside of Bizarro. Is he got mad. He let his emotions get the best of him, and he came fairly close to killing Lex in cold blood, kind of. Rightfully so. If it was Batman or Oliver Queen, sure. That makes sense, but this is Superman we're talking about. Like, even if he didn't necessarily do anything wrong, I think that definitely is going to sit with him like, oh, I almost crossed a line that I can't uncross.
He brought him down to his level. A level that I think is totally valid, right? Like, I think he's totally justified. He didn't cross the line. I think he did everything. Like he challenged
Yeah, he
him in
stopped
his own.
himself.
Yeah, no, like
He
he's
still did it. He still did it. Let's be
Right.
real. He did cross a line. He wrapped his hands around the man's throat. He did.
I mean,
do it.
he was yelling in the middle of the street, Luther.
And like Tyler's performance in all this,
Great.
fantastic. There was the one. There's a couple times that happened, but like there's one where it's like that doesn't even sound like Tyler's voice anymore. He's screaming so loud. Like I was like,
Yeah.
that's a different person that just came out of him, and I loved it. Like it's very reminiscent of the like this isn't a job for Superman. He's not going. And
Yeah,
like,
yeah, that's exactly
right,
where I was.
right.
That's exactly where I was. Yeah, I'm so glad you said it. Oh yeah, I was gonna say Clark Kent went today. Yeah, Superman
Yeah.
stayed at home. Oh yeah,
And
Oh, yeah.
I do think like there's a bit, if it's like the actual what happened or if it's just kind of in his head, like Clark is more human now. He didn't go as Superman, right? He didn't go in
right.
his costume. He went as Clark Kent. I do wonder if he went in the Superman costume, if he would have still went that far. Or if this is a moment of like, I'm Clark, I'm human like everybody else. Maybe part of him is like, well, why shouldn't I treat this like everybody else? Why should I treat this like Superman? You know, I'm not even fully him right now. So
You're right. You're 100% right, and I didn't even think about it like that. You know?
maybe subconsciously, like he's like, well, my hair's going gray and I can't hear as well, and all of these things. It's like, well, just a straight brawl will do it.
The thing is, though, it's like he just as much as Batman is Bruce Wayne and Bruce Wayne is Batman, Superman and Clark Kent are intertwined. You can't leave one at home because even when, like he was depowered, but he still like had like Kryptonian physiology and stuff like that. So I'd argue that he was still stronger than Lex Luthor. I mean, he's got an old man heart in that, but he was less of a disadvantage that we may be making it. You know what I mean? Like he's still Superman.
Yeah.
You know?
For sure. I imagine that was probably such a satisfying moment though when he realizes he shut off his powers. Like there was a moment there was like, oh, I can finally punch this man and I won't bust his face in. Like there
You're
was
right,
probably something
actually.
very just being like
something very
fuck yeah.
satisfying. Like, oh, I don't have to hold back now.
Yeah, he was getting out because again, like Clark is that guy. Like he killed his father-in-law, he killed him, he's harassed his family, and like this was just the breaking point for him. I think.
Yeah.
It's like no.
Well, yeah, I mean,
No.
you saw that like watching Lana talk to Lois about everything that happened and the fact that Clark now sees like my best friend was just almost killed by Lex after he's killed again my father-in-law, after he has killed me, after he has done all this stuff, after he is planning to do more. And he feels helpless because he's depowered. He didn't even hear the commotion going on. Like, it makes him feel defeated. And I think, again, it breaks him to a point. And he's like, enough is enough. Like, I tried to go it as Superman last week. I really did. Like, I gave him the apology speech. I was like, hey, we can settle this thing peacefully. But if Lex wants to just keep ramping it up and he will not leave my family and the people that I care about alone, like I'm gonna have to do something about it. He did.
I love the performances of both Lana and Sarah this episode. Like Lana's performance when she's talking to the Lois, she's like, I thought I was gonna die. Like she's coming to tears. The look in like Clark's eyes in that scene, the just enraged. Like, I think we sometimes forget that's his best friend. Like, I'm feeling in this continuity, we haven't heard much from Jimmy. That's his best friend. You know, that's one of the people that means the most to her. It was actually shocking. I'm pretty sure this episode was the first time we've seen them interact all season. It's just kind of crazy to think about. But, like, like that was just a breaking point for him, I think. Like, it's something snapped inside of him. Where it's like, I have to go over there.
Something snapped. Something inside of me. I didn't care anymore. I didn't care about being Superman.
It's funny because I kept pausing it. I was like, "Oh, he's mad! Look at that face! Look at it! Look at it! He does it so well. He does it so well. Oh my god! Can I just say it as well? Like he is hands down the best Superman. I don't care. Like, he was adorable whacking that Just for Men in his pocket. Like, it was so funny. Just him fumbling with the box, something so
Yeah.
simple. Like, that whole Clark Kent thing, like, he has down to a T. Like, it's uncanny. It's kind of scary. Do you know what I mean? Like, he is just Clark Kent when he's Clark Kent. And
Yeah.
then when he comes as Superman, he brings it all. Do you know what I mean? Like,
Mhm.
some of the stuff that we've had with him is just been on a whole other level, and it's on a goddamn TV show. So just the biggest props to him, honestly.
Yeah, I'm so excited for David's performance as Superman. I think he's going to be great. I think he's going to be an entire generation's Superman. I'm so excited to fall in love with him. It's going to be very, very hard for anybody to step into the shoes of Tyler and Betsy for me, just on a completely biased level. Like,
Hmm.
I think David can give the best performance we've ever seen from Superman, and I feel like these 4 seasons of this show, plus my experience through the Arrowverse and the crossovers, it's we're gearing on 50 episodes of Superman and Lois. Like, I think we'll end with like 52, 53 episodes.
Yeah.
That's a
I think
lot.
he
That's a lot of
started
episodes.
he started on Supergirl in 2016, 20.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, I
so.
think it just turned like 8 years since he appeared on Supergirl. So he's
Yeah.
been doing it for nearly a decade now.
Yeah.
So
That's crazy.
Yeah, and it's so funny that, like, think about the hype and excitement when he was first announced to be in those first 2 episodes of the second season of Supergirl to where we are now with Superman and Lois, and with Tyler's version of this character not only becoming such a fan favorite, but also kind of a definitive version and a definitive take of this character, especially at this state in his career. We've never had anything like that. We've had a lot of, entry level Superman and, first few years of Superman kind of thing. I think Superman Returns is the closest we've had to it, but it still didn't take it that far as like, grizzled Superman that has seen some stuff.
Yeah. Yeah, he still felt very fresh, didn't he?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I think rounding out the series with Lex being the ultimate big bad,
yeah,
as long as they don't do a bait and switch and for some reason Brainiac is the main villain, because we did get multiple references to Milton Fine again this week.
2 different ones. Yeah.
I'm hoping, as big of a character as Brainiac is, I really hope that they just kind of sideline him.
Mhm.
Maybe he's like a villain of the week for, I don't know, episode 8 or whatever, wherever he shows up.
Yeah.
Or just kind of a on the side of Lex. But I really, really hope that they stick the landing with Lex being the ultimate villain.
Yeah.
I think the end of this episode really shows us where we're going to go next. Amanda brings up the idea of the Lexo suit at the end. She's like, "Hey, I think you need a new suit," kind of thing, which I loved. We saw the big wide shot of the Luthor Corps building, which was really nice as well. But I think next week we're getting the suit, we're getting the shave, and yeah.
Do you not think, like, I don't know. I just with how intelligent and like Batman level prepared the Lex Luthor usually is.
Yeah.
You would think that like he would already have the suit in his back pocket. Not that it would take Amanda to just like, oh, by the way, you're going about this all wrong. Like, you are just so pig-headed right now, and you need to calm your ass down. I got the answers. You know what I mean? Like, he's supposed to be the supreme kind, not supreme intellect, but you know what I mean? Like, he's supposed to be the all-knowing baddie. You know?
I agree. I agree with that. I think to an extent you are right. However, the fact of the matter is, yes, he was in prison for 17 years. He gets out, and I feel like he still wants to do a lot from the shadows. Doomsday was his suit, Clark being dead was his suit. He had no need for it. Clark being less powerful was his suit. But now that he fought him under the solar lights, with his powers being minimized, and he's still lost, I think
Okay.
maybe you're right, is now he has to kind of take that threat a little bit more seriously.
Okay, okay. Like, yes, but he's had how many years in prison? 15 years in prison,
17,
right?
I think. Yeah.
Right, 17 years. Doomsday's only just turned up. Are you telling me that he hasn't been sitting there for 17 years thinking, oh, what can I do? What can I do? It couldn't have been Elizabeth this whole time. He had to have been sitting here making all sorts of plans. There would have been one night of a fever dream where he would have just like rang up a man and been like, oh my God, I just dreamt of a super suit, you know? Like,
yeah, you're right.
maybe we should get working on that.
I mean,
You're right.
he was, right? Like we saw bits of some kind of giant suit in the flashbacks, right? Like there was like,
I didn't see anything. I remembered you saying that when I was scrolling
Maybe I'm
through looking
hallucinating.
for episode pictures. I didn't see anything. Maybe are you referring to like there was like a statue in the like main office there?
when they're like, yeah, like in the flashback stuff, like we see some kind of machinery in the background, and I was thinking, oh, is that the suit? Like maybe he's working on the suit all the way back then. Maybe
Yeah.
I'm wrong. Maybe it was just some
if
kind
you
of
can
background.
if you can find it and point it out to me,
Right.
I'd love to see it. But I scrubbed through. I looked. I didn't necessarily see anything. That doesn't mean it
Gotcha.
wasn't there. But I didn't see.
That's
anything.
fair. Maybe I'm just completely wrong about it. Maybe it's
I could be wrong too. So
It's just like a fax machine or something. I don't know, something weird.
yeah. But, I mean, I think to Darth's point though, I think there's a possibility that maybe he has been kind of in the background working on something. And maybe we'll get like like a one-off line when Amanda brings the suit next week. She's like, "Oh, I had Milton, look at your original designs or modify your original prototype and create the final product." Or something like that, and then Lex is like, "Oh, it needs a couple more finishing touches, and that's adding the green and purple and the L logo or something like that."
Oh, that'd be
Because
so
I'm not
cool.
saying
Yep.
she can't be a part of like his machinations and stuff, but like I expect more from him if he's this level of angry. That's my only thing.
Yeah.
Well, I think mainly he was hoping that she would just give up, right? Like in his original plan, he's like, "All right, quit the paper, or worse will happen to you." Like he tried to give her in his mind, like that was Plan A.
But
And maybe-
until Doomsday, what was it that he was gonna do? Just stand outside with some armed thugs, send in Otis?
Yeah.
Like, what was he
you're
gonna
right.
do?
You're right. I thinking about it, he definitely has been kind of jury rigging this plan together throughout the whole thing.
yeah,
It hasn't really felt like it's had a ton of organization. It's just like, oh, I'm gonna go talk to Lois and try to get her to quit. She's not gonna quit. Okay, I'm gonna go get Doomsday or Bizarro's dead body and create Doomsday. Okay, Doomsday's gone now. I'm gonna put Luthor Core in Smallville. Can't do that.
right.
Okay,
He goes
I'm
to one
gonna
thing
fight.
to
I'm gonna
another.
fight Clark Kent in the middle of the street. I lost. All right. What do I do now?
Right.
It really makes me wonder because, like, as much as they can stretch some things out, they can really feel like an episode really well. So it makes me wonder, like, we have 4 episodes. Like, what the hell are they going to do with them? Like, how much time is going to be dedicated to a brawl with Lex Luthor where the only thing you're going to be able to do is power it by kryptonite, which would maybe level the playing field for a moment with there being him and the boys. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But then you also have Doomsday, who feels like he's now going to turn up like a Solomon Grundy-esque trump card now that Lois has had that little sunshine moment with him.
Yeah. The more that you talk about it, 4 episodes seems like so few, but also seems like a lot in the grand scheme of things.
Yeah.
Think about what happened in the first 3 episodes of the show or of the season. Think about what happened in the last 3 episodes. I'm kind of splitting it into like 3 episode little chunks. Is like we've got the first 3, this kind of middle chunk of 3, and now this final 4 is the final stretch.
Yeah.
Like, it does the finale turn out somewhat like the Flash's finale, where the fight is over in the first 10 or 15 minutes of the episode, and the rest of it is epilogue? Are we going to get a whole, like, 30 minutes worth of fighting, and then the last 10, 15 minutes is, epilogue, or weird kind of theory that I thought of when you guys were talking about Agatha. Do we defeat Lex in episode 9, and then 10 is that final, like, closing all the small little storylines, like either Clark comes to terms with the fact that he's never going to get his full strength back and passes the mantle to the boys, and what's going to go on with John Henry, what's going to go on here and there and whatever.
Could do like a mini Brainiac thing, like a mini Brainiac.
Maybe, yeah.
Did you hear what
Yeah.
they said about the final episode? That was like one of the most epic like superhero things of all time, or something crazy.
Yeah,
Like
and
that could be like a giant Brainiac invasion where it's like Superman, the two boys, the Irons together, whatever. All like this
Okay.
that's kind
big
of what I
Avenger
thought
shot.
was going to be.
Yeah.
That's kind of what I thought, like, the final Doomsday fight was going to be before we,
Yeah.
had Lois defeating Doomsday, which again is very cool.
If
I
they
think
said that, he's 100% being repowered.
If they fight Brainiac?
No, just the statement that Darren said.
Oh,
Like,
yeah,
based
that
off
it's going to
of
be
that
like the
alone.
most action-packed. Yeah, I mean, I saw also that they spent like the most time on this finale. Like, they spent as much time on the finale as they did on the pilot. Yeah.
Ooh, wow, because that
I
pirate is
kinda-
perfect.
Yeah.
I kind of hope he doesn't get his powers. Like, I don't want
I keep going back and
Superman.
forth.
Like, I don't want him to have no powers. Like, that's not what I want. Obviously, like, I saw some people being very worried, like, oh, he's going to lose all his powers. He's just not going to be Superman. I don't think that's what's going on. I just think Clark is going to have a moment of like, listen, I'm not the man that I used to be, and I think he's going to have a moment of being like, I can't fully do this by myself, and that's when we have the suit moment. Where I think he's be like, I can no longer just be the only Superman. And he presses a button and like the two suits reveal themselves to the boys. It's like, oh, are you sure, Dad? And kind of thing. Where it's like
Yeah.
more of a shared mantle. Like, I don't think it's going to be like a Smallville moment where it's like, nope, I'm just completely retired. Almost like I don't know how many of you guys played this, but almost like a Spider-Man 2 moment where it's like, I'm not done being Spider-Man. I am
Mhm.
just letting you be the main Spider-Man for a while,
Yeah.
kind of thing. Like, I think
Yeah.
that might be the kind of ending we're going for.
Do you think it's something that they would tell the public? Like, do you think Superman would say, I'm sharing everything, these are my boys, or do you think it would
I
just
don't
be
think so.
something forced on them in mystery?
I do, actually. I think that we're going to get that reveal by the end of it. We are increasingly seeing more and more people find out. This week we had Coach Gaines come up to the boys and was like, "Hey, are we playing football this year? You know why, right?" We had the lady who owned the farmland that Lex was trying to buy knew that Clark was Superman. I have a feeling that everybody in that bar that stood up to Lex knew Clark was Superman.
Yeah.
As kind of like okay, he stood up for us for so long. If Clark is going against, if Superman is going against Lex, like, let's stand up for him and, do our part in a way. Either he's just going to reveal it to the people of Smallville, or something's going to happen and he's going to have to reveal it to everybody. Or Lex is going to reveal it to everybody. I think maybe that might be a last ditch.
That's
I'm going to destroy your family, Superman. Like, I'm
Right.
going to just expose you to the world. And maybe they find some positive in it. Maybe some semblance of positivity. Like, Lois writes an article or does an interview or something like that, and is like, Superman comes out and is like, hey, you guys know me as Superman, but I'm actually also mild-mannered reporter Clark Kent. These are my boys. They also have powers. They're going to be the next generation of Superman. My powers are not what they once were. I died. I came back. I'm trying to still make a difference, but I'm not as powerful as I once was. So you're going to need this new generation of heroes, John and Jordan and John Henry Irons and Natalie and all that.
I guess my issue with that is just that, like, that's exactly what Supergirl did. Like, that was the exact ending that they had, where it's like, no, I am, like, me
right.
as Supergirl. I'm also Kara Danvers, which is a great ending.
I forgot.
Fantastic.
I
just don't want it
that
twice.
that's how they ended it.
You know what I mean?
You're completely right. I'm gonna actually, because I thought about it, and every time this comes up, I think about it. There is a comic panel that I saved. that I used in my most recent video. I'll send it to you guys in the chat.
Do you want us to play it on screen?
Yeah, you can show it on screen. It's just Clark just revealing his identity. I don't know what comic it's from. I saw somebody posted at some point, and I was like, and with that theory, but this was early in the season. It was like, oh, is Clark going to just reveal his identity? Because we were told that something's going to happen that has never happened in the history of live action Superman.
Yeah. See, I would say yes as well, given the juxtaposition of Bizarro's life after his identity was revealed, and
I thought about that too.
Seeing like what a hellish path that is when you lean into everything that is anti-Kent, you know.
Yeah.
I think they are going to be able to navigate it very well.
Mm-hmm. And I would like that juxtaposition to kind of see what it's like if that identity is revealed for the wrong reason versus being revealed for the right reason.
Mm-hmm.
I also just really like, and I'm really enjoying this, like the little Smallville storyline. And there's a lot of it this season, or this episode, I really liked. But I really like, I think I mentioned it early on in the season, but like this Spider-Man movie, Spider-Man 2 moment. I referenced both this stream, but like where it's like, no, be careful, he's a hero. Like the entire city of Smallville respecting Superman and Clark more specifically so much that they're like, we're just not going to tell the world about this. It's going to be our little secret. Obviously, it's spreading like wildfires. The people of the town know it. But I seem like that's what next episode is mainly going to be focused about, is like the whole city knowing, stuff like that. I would love a little moment where like Clark goes to them and be like, hey, thank you for not telling my secret to the world. Is there any way we can keep it that way? Like, is there any way, like, I've protected this town all these years. Do you think you could just help me protect one thing? Just this one thing. Like, I think I want that, like, one-on-one conversation, like, between him and his people. And
well, that's
like
literally going to have to be him at a town hall, is suited up and just going...
No, 100%. That's kind of what I... Like obviously, like the big fight scene was one of my favorite episodes, or my favorite moments of the show. Like, it was phenomenal. The show also, I think, had another one of my favorite scenes of the show, though, was the Lex Luthor Lana moment in like the bar, or like the little tavern, and like that moment of them being like, okay, I will give you $10,000. No, I'll give everybody.
$10 million.
Everyone here gets $10 million. And like you see is like she really wants to. It's like that would save everything for all of us. And like this moment of them being like, no, this doesn't feel right. This isn't right. And that, I think that's such a perfect scene, especially for the final season, because it's such a full circle moment to season 1 with Morgan Edge, where they did that exact thing. Morgan Edge came to Smallville being like, hey, I'm rebuilding the factories. I'm saving the farms. Give me your farms to give you all this money. They didn't trust Superman because they're like, this guy, he doesn't care about us. He cares about the big cities or whatever. So them seeing what Superman has done for their city, has done for their, their community, the trust they've now had in both Clark and Superman, that, he's put them through all this stuff for them to be like, no, actually, we're going to put our trust in him, not you. I think it's such a perfect thing. Like, it gave me so much goosebumps being like, no, you could actually screw it. Like, just...
Especially the legacy that his parents left helped bolster that, you know what I mean? Which is really wonderful. Because it feels less culty then. Do you know what I mean? Because both Kyle, Coach Gaines, a whole bunch of people are just stuck in the awe and admiration mode, as opposed to Lana, who is just carrying on her day. Sarah carries on her day. Everybody else is stuck staring at a god and forgets that
he's like, I've just met this big celebrity.
Yeah, because for like he's like Goku in the fact that he's just like a superpowered human. Do you know what I mean? Because of like his physiology be damned. Do you know what I mean?
I bet there's a bit of like things with the town people being like, you know what, that makes a lot of sense. Martha would raise Superman. Like, I bet like all the town people are like, oh yeah, that's Martha's son. Yeah.
It's like,
Yeah.
it's like,
Of
oh,
course he
that
is.
that explains all the weird stuff that happened when I hung out with Clark when we were kids. Like,
Right.
you know,
He
Holier
like
than
fell
thou,
off a bridge and he
Martha.
was
Yeah.
fine. It was so weird.
yeah. Like, oh, I thought the bus like fell off a, you know.
Like, how do you think Doomsday is going to take the identity reveal? You know what I mean? Because that was the start of his life just being wrecked, you know? And then now he's watching. Do you think that's where he's going to be like, okay, I'm back to being angry now, okay? Like,
Yeah.
screw this.
Do you think we're done with Doomsday? Because
I don't know. Like, does he come back and help with the fight against Lex?
yeah.
Or do we come back to that original theory of Clark is so depowered that he still needs another heart, and Doomsday willingly maybe gives up his heart to Clark to
It's
get
so
him his
big.
power back?
It's so big. He's going to have to be like Dennis in Sunny in the
Well, I
last
mean,
season
maybe
and
they-
just shrink it down.
Brainiac.
Like Candor.
Yeah.
Oh, wow. Ooh, okay. Now
And he
we're
was
on track.
already experimenting and working with Clark's original heart before Lex destroyed it too.
Okay. Not hating that as much now.
Maybe that's his role. Who knows?
I will say I love that Jordan finally has his head out of his ass, and he's back on the super team.
Yeah.
Because he's like, well, not doing anything is clearly much worse than me messing things up, so I have to get off the bench.
Yeah.
Obviously,
And
that's
what
what
more fun
everybody's
way-
been telling you.
And what more fun way to do it than traveling the world?
Yeah. But like, he's such a teenager though, because everybody's been saying this. Like, his brother's been saying this, his parents have been saying this. Like, bloody Superman, who is his parent, obviously, but like, there's a whole other level of thing. Sarah, you know what I mean? Like, everybody just having a conversation about him taking a step back is, well, you know, there are people that still need saving.
Yeah.
You know, just saying. And then
It's
he's
like,
there, like,
dude, don't be-
yeah, my Xbox is calling me. You know?
It's
It's
one of those,
I'll call him the replacer.
Yeah.
it's like one of those Stargirl moments that would always happen to me where I'm like, I don't really like what they're doing with this one thing. And then it's like, oh, now I've seen the whole journey of it. Like, I really loved his journey from like failure to acceptance to redemption, what it seems like this season, which I think is really cool. And there's such that height moment where it's like, well, now we're all in it. We all have to be in this as a family if we're going to defeat Luthor, which isn't true, by the way. Like, we've just proven that's actually the opposite. You can do it by yourself.
Yeah.
I will say though, they have fell into the trope of like fridging a superpowered person to keep the story driven and focused on Superman. Do you know what I mean? And they didn't hatch Jonathan till right at the end, and then that's when they choose to fix Jordan as well. You know what I mean? Like, you had this whole time for that growth, which shouldn't take long, especially because like he's actively turning off his hearing at most times or whenever. You know what I mean? Like, he's got his little headphones on. So that's like a choice that he's consciously making all of the time. Do you know what I mean? It's like flexing a muscle. You're going to have to think about what you're doing. So he's going to be concentrating. Don't think about everybody screaming and dying. Don't think about everybody screaming and dying. You know? So like, that should have come earlier for me. You know? Because I think, yes, we've told an amazing, wonderful journey so far, but I do think the idea of at least Superman and one son flying around together would be an interesting tell.
Yeah. And like this, again, this is the reason I said for years, like, wait till the final season to give Jonathan powers, because this is the thing we would have been running into season after season if we would have done this season 1 or season 2. Like, it was always going to be tricky. It's tricky having 2 Kryptonians around plus the Steel. So you want to throw 3 Kryptonians and 2 Steels, you know, and all these other capable characters that can do great things. It's like, it's hard to write around that. Like, Flash ran into the same trope. Arrow, well, I guess not so much Arrow, but like Superhero ran into this trope. Sometimes even Legends would run into this trope a little bit. So I'm glad they waited, in my personal opinion.
No, it's fine. I mean, obviously, as you say, everybody suffers with it, but I guess I just put the show on such a pedestal.
No, for sure.
It's like, it's a little bit disappointing to see that they also have tripped on the pitfall.
Sure. I really liked the journey of Lana and Sarah. I touched on it a
Mhm.
little bit here, but like I think this was the quote unquote send off for Sarah. Like we know she's going to be in the finale as well, but I think this is probably the proper kind of off for her story to be like, well, she's going to be going off. She's going to be finding herself. She's going to be having her moments to shine outside of Jordan. Like she's finding her identity outside of Smallville, outside of Jordan,
Mhm.
which I think is great for her. I think it's a great send off. People like it or not, like the dynamic between John, Jordan, and Sarah is one of the crusts of the show. Like it's one of the biggest
Mhm.
foundations of the show. So that
Yeah.
final moment with the three of them being like, "Yeah, let's just travel the world for like a day," I think is so cool. Like I love that moment a lot.
I will say it's a like the ideal send off for her character, like
Yeah.
which obviously didn't need to be affected by the budget and the limitations that the show's had. I mean, because from day one, really, she's been talking about, I just cannot wait to get out of here. I do
Yeah.
not want
Yeah.
to be my
Yeah,
mum's
you're right.
dad.
That's true. That's true.
So-
So it really has kind of come full circle for her.
Hmm. Yeah,
I think
it's wonderful.
And it's interesting too because I know at a point, I believe it was the actress that said that they had some ideas of maybe giving Sarah powers at one point or another, and that they didn't obviously do that. And
Thank God.
what is kind of the I'm kind of like, okay, like it could have been cool, but I think at the end here I'm happy with what they ended up doing.
Yeah, because if they fridge the sons, like, how the hell is she going to be at this? Like,
Yeah.
kicking
Yeah, and
around
I'm
as well?
assuming it was most likely when all the X kryptonite was going around.
Mhm.
It would potentially would have just been like, okay, maybe she also takes the the space drugs as well.
Yeah.
But
Yeah, but that could have tested differently for our relationship with her, because for a while, like, everybody was like hating on Jonathan for doing it.
yeah,
You know what I mean?
yeah,
And then he had to redeem himself in both our eyes and everybody in the show's eyes. So
exactly.
she stayed, the clear-headed one in all of it.
It should also be just like I found it kind of interesting. Sarah might have the most episodes this season out of all the guest stars because this was Sarah's
Yeah, I saw
third episode.
you mentioned that.
This is her
Yeah.
third. She's also in the finale. That is
Yeah.
2 more than anybody else has had so far, which I'm fine with. I think Sarah is like interchangeable with any kind of cast of the characters, basically. So I totally think that's fine. I think she might need a little. I do wish John and Natalie could have had maybe like I probably would have given John the most out of anybody, but
Yeah, that's something that I wish that we had seen this season is more John Henry. Like unless he's in these like the last 4 episodes, which I doubt. We got a couple mentions of him this week, which was good.
Really? Because like I know, okay, this is the thing, right? So this is like the Flash of me all over again, because I would have been annoyed if there haven't been any mentions, but I'm also annoyed that we've only got mentions.
Right.
So yeah.
Yeah, I would much rather see him, but I know budgetarily, if that's even a word, it's tough to do because they had a limited budget. Obviously, each actor is going to cost them money. I believe the actor is actually on multiple shows right now. Like I think he's got another show. I think I saw him posting something about like there was another show on that was airing at the same time that his episode came out, the Sam Lane episode. So I mean, I'm guessing he was probably more expensive of a get than say like bringing Sarah back for an extra couple of episodes.
Question. If we got like another season, do you like, because like the fights that we have had with Doomsday were brutal for Superman and Lois. Do you know what I mean? They were savage fights and they were sick. Do you think that we would have like a more action heavy season with the Irons and the boys, with Doomsday like being fought off and come back and fought off and come back, because instead of just talked down? Because that's basically what happened.
Yeah, my vision for this, say if it was like a 12 to 15 episode season and there was going to be another season after this, I think, again, you leave Clark dead for like 6, 7, 8 episodes. and then you make it full on Reign of the Supermen, it is basically John Henry Irons and the boys show until Clark gets back. And even when he gets back, maybe he doesn't let everybody know that he's back until he's fully recovered. He comes back in the black suit, that type of thing. That is my perfect layout for the season, where it is more heavily focused on, again, those side characters becoming heroes of their own, Reign of the Supermen, while Clark is dead. And then he makes his triumphant return. They don't do the depowering storyline. He comes back more powerful, just like when he got thrown into the sun. Mm-hmm. I think he comes back at that sort of power level where it's like, oh, okay, like, he's back in business.
Yeah, I agree. I think normally, especially like we've said, like I've said this multiple times, they already had all the pieces for Death of Superman. They have their Superboy, they have their John Henry Irons, they have their Eradicator. I think John Henry Irons is one of the biggest I don't want to say disappointments, but one of the more frustrating things about it, because I really want to see. I want to see him take over for Superman. I want to see that arc for him. I want to see, especially the full circle moment for him, where it's like season 1, he comes in. We think he's Lex Luthor. We think Lex Luthor has come from another Earth to kill Superman. So all these years later, Lex Luthor comes in and kills Superman, and him being like, "Oh shit, that's what would have happened if I would have done that 3 years ago." Like that was almost me. You know what I mean? So like that, I want that.
Yeah,
arc
you're right.
It would be
that
so
would be
good.
Tough. that would be a tough burden to deal with, because he's like, wow, I'm seeing how this is affecting this family. This is affecting this alternate version of my wife. Like, oh, I almost caused some real turmoil.
Right.
But yeah, you're right. That would be an interesting perspective. And
so,
go ahead. No, go
just
ahead.
Darren started something here, right? So, I'm blanking on the actor's name, and you have to forgive me, but John Henry Irons, right? Mm-hmm. Absolutely formidable actor, who in season 1, I was just hoping was Lex Luthor. You know, I was just praying that they were sticking with that storyline until we got the swap, right? Mm-hmm. How do we feel now that we have Michael Cudlitz?
I'm so glad that they pulled that bait and switch, that he has been John Henry Irons, and we got the chance to see Cudlitz as Lex.
So you think so say for example, you think that John Henry Irons, like if he did stay as Lex, wouldn't be giving us.
Oh, I think he would have done it.
I think he would have done really, really well. But I think the fact that he wasn't Lex allowed him to be on the show more than he would have been if he was Lex. He would have been probably done after that first season if it was Lex, and maybe show up sporadically here and there. But the fact that... Go ahead.
I was just going to say, we've never had John Henry Irons. Well, I guess we technically have once, but like I feel like we've never got John Henry Irons proper, right, in a DC thing. I think that's been one of the coolest things. I'll go on an Arrowverse tangent, but that's one of the coolest things the Arrowverse and Smallville has done, is like they give us these live action DC characters we just have never seen before. Like it's this is my proper introduction to John Henry Irons. Again, I've seen him in small things here and there, but like, you know, that's such a cool thing that he can be like, yeah, I've been the main John Henry Irons for live action. You know, there aren't a lot of like black superheroes, like powerful black superheroes in media, and he gets to be one for, I would imagine, people, and I think that's really cool. But I he would have done great. He would have killed as Lex if they wanted to go that direction. But that twist is still one of my favorite like television twists of all time. Just being like, wait, he's not Lex? Like who? Like this guy with the hammer? Like,
and it's so funny thinking. It's so funny thinking back on it too. Is like,
oh yeah,
like, oh, the suit. It's like, that's the Lexo suit. Like, okay, he's a bald guy. He's Lex.
Yeah.
But now we have the Lexo suit that is still the steel suit, which is very, is still technically the steel suit, which is, I think, very interesting, and also that reference to when Lex went into Lana's office and mentioned the security system and was like, oh, like, I've dealt with this before. It didn't end well for the guy. Yeah. it didn't
Yeah.
end well for the guy who originally
Goddamn.
made it. So
Yeah.
maybe the original John Henry Irons of this Earth also is the one who had those original plans for the suit, and that is the maybe the plans that Amanda digs up and then gives to Lex, and then Lex makes his modifications, and that's why the suits look so similar. When we first had the trailer come out, I thought, oh well, maybe he like steals John Henry's suit or something, but
Yeah.
now that we're where we're at, maybe that's the route that they're taking.
I do think it's really cool how many full circle moments we're having. I don't know if I already mentioned a couple in this thing already, but like I don't know if they meant to do it, but again, like there's the John Henry Lex Luthor thing, and now we have Lex Luthor this season. Have the Morgan Edge taking up all the properties in Smallville and not trusting. We're doing that with Lex this season. We have the Doomsday thing from season 2. We're like, oh, Doomsday's the villain this season. Oh no, it's Bizarro. Oh no, it is Doomsday. You know, all these things in the final season that have been kind of building the crumbs over the last couple seasons that I think just happened to be landing in the final season. I think it's kind of fun.
Even Lana, if I remember, felt similarly to Sarah at the beginning of the show, in that she felt that the town and the Stepford Wives kind of actually was smothering her.
Yeah.
It was smothering her, yeah. And then now she is the strong guard and the champion of the town, you know, which is a great turnaround.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And seeing how the people have grown to love and respect her has been a fun journey as well. Like her being like, we don't want you. You're going through you just got cheated on, and you're going through all these things, and now being like, no, we put our faith in her completely, which has been great.
And I think too is it has shown the evolution of Smallville since the Kents moved back. I think there was definitely a sense of like, oh, the town has seen better days, that type of thing, and that's why Morgan Edge kind of took advantage of that in season 1. But as the show has progressed, I think we've really seen Smallville starting to slowly, you know, rebuild and kind of rally together, especially after all of these kind of world-ending events have been like at ground zero here, you know, in Smallville.
So,
and then now go ahead.
Just to say, that's the tip, kids. Always host a party at your house.
Yeah. Home field advantage.
Yeah.
Crazy episode. I'm trying to think if there's anything we covered a lot. Okay, so now that everyone's in, they're all in. Do you think we get the suits within the next couple weeks? Do you think?
Yeah, I would say no later than episode 9.
Oh, I think it's next week.
I do.
Really?
Oh yeah. Like
I think Lexosuit next week. Lexosuit next week, maybe Superboy suits the following weeks or the.
I really want time to breathe with them. Like part of me thinks it would be a good finale moment, but that's just on the other side of it. I want to see the suits for a couple episodes. Like I want to actually get the.
I do think there is a possibility that if we get that kind of flash forward, we don't see the suits until then. And they do that classic thing where it's like, oh, we've just made the suits for this one small little thing.
It's the fact that they have both decided to step up now. You know what I mean? So the only thing that's stopping this moment is Clark sitting there licking his wounds, right?
Yeah.
And I don't think that's going to take the whole episode of next week because they don't like to linger on things like that too long. So Lois is going to talk him around. He's going to be like, you know what, you're right. And then, surprise, surprise, I got you something that's better than those goggles that you're wearing.
Well, and I guess it is pretty interesting how we saw Jordan give John the suit, but we never actually saw John wear the suit, which means that they would have had to create a new suit for him to wear. So just to save budget, because they knew that they were going to give them both full-on suits, they were just like, okay, we'll just kind of play it from afar for a while, don't show that actual suit, and then just wait until we give them the full-on suits.
Do you think 1 cape, 2 capes, no capes?
I cannot answer that because I've seen some concept art.
Oh.
I've also seen said concept art.
Okay.
So don't watch don't watch the theory section of my most recent video. Is all I'm gonna say.
I love being in the dark on some things, honestly, because certain reveals are much better, like just experience. You know what I mean?
I agree with you. Yeah,
Yeah.
I'm very glad you were in the dark for the Agatha this season in terms of like Funkos and stuff. That was fun.
Yeah,
Just
and then,
having you.
and then this week, oh my god, right? So there's Lex's drawing with the light bulbs, which I thought were power cells. I was like, oh, he needs 8 of them. He needs 8 of them. Like, oh my goodness, like this is what's going to be powering the Lexo suit. We might be getting it. Woo! No, it's just talking about street lights.
Yeah.
God damn it.
Yeah.
Good
Yeah, I guess
world building though, with like in the background, like they take care to build the universe well.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah, they do.
the Teague family, I forget what shop that they had, but they had a business up and running, which is a nice little callback to some of the characters, I believe in Smallville.
Is there anything else that we want to mention from this episode?
I think that pretty much covers it.
Yeah.
Like I went all in.
Yeah,
on,
we went
on the
we went
on.
deep.
I kind of listed pretty much every theory I wrote down today. So
There's absolutely no way that we can see Otis again in the free world.
Oh,
No.
that's another thing. I think they should have enough evidence against Lex at this point. Like, I feel like enough people have seen enough things. He literally assaulted the DOD, right? Like everyone there saw what he was doing. Like he just threatened. Like they can at least get restraining orders over this man. Like he went into Lana's office and was just in there. He's like, he won't leave. I was like, okay, call the police. He's trespassing on the mayor's property. He won't leave.
I mean,
he's threatening you. Call the police.
At least get him on tampering with city property and changing all the light bulbs. Like, come on.
Right. Like maybe he's paying people off. That would make sense to me. But still, I feel like they have enough. Lois in this episode was like, all right, we're gonna get him in jail. I was like, okay, what steps are we getting to do this?
Again, playing devil's advocate, technically Lex has done nothing. He's had people do things.
Right.
He's maybe gotten angry at people in public. He has,
That's technically a crime, though. The first bit, like the conspiracy to commit crime, is a bit like you're actively a part of the crime.
Yeah.
I mean,
but can they prove though? Can they prove that?
We just need a video. We just need a video recorder everywhere we go with Lex because he admits it.
In the fight with Clark, I mean, he was just defending himself. He was at his home basically.
Right.
He was just defending his property.
How sorry, I know you're trying to wrap up, but how far do you think Lex has gone now? Do you think he's fully off the deep end? Because the fact that Amanda's also joining him on the ledge, I'm not exactly a fan of. Because yeah, I get you're devoted and you've been here making money, but the whole reason you've been doing that is because you're incredibly prudent and super smart. Do you know what I mean? You know a time to get out. Don't sit there with this idolization and infatuation of a man that you've been having jail visits with for 17 years.
I did think it was kind of weird that she was like, "Oh, Lex, you done messed up. I don't know if I can follow you anymore." And then we see nothing besides her just come in at the end, look at Lex, and be like, "You know what? I choose you. I'm gonna build you a suit. We're gonna be happy together. We're gonna take over the world."
Yeah,
but
yeah.
Where did that come from? That
she
was a little...
drank the Kool. Yeah, I mean, she had that moment where it's get on or get off, and she was feeling you know what, screw it, I'll just get on. I've said it since episode 1, and I saw people be like, no, I don't think so. She clearly has a thing for Lex. She clearly.
Yeah,
has...
I think that's
I don't think Lex feels the same way. I think she's probably just using her in some way, but I think it's almost like this Miss Tessmacher thing.
Well, that's kind of who I thought she was gonna be originally, before the season started, and that's basically.
I don't know why they didn't. They could have easily just called her I don't know. What's her first name? What's Miss Tess?
Eve.
Oh, Eve. You're right. Just call her Eve. I don't know. It's fine though. It's whatever.
Yeah. But to answer your question though, has Lex gone off the deep end? I think the answer is yes, because we saw him burn the photo of his daughter at the beginning of the episode, along with all the letters she wrote him while he was in prison. He's completely severed the ties to anything that would have kept him grounded originally. So...
Again, okay. So okay, so that's a thing I want to ask now is like how grounded are you that like you think after 17 years this your kid is just gonna just go right, let's go take down Lois together.
Yeah.
You know? Like you're nuts. And that's your only egg in that goddamn basket. Are you crazy?
Well, I mean, not technically his only. He did say, what's her name? Amanda's loyalty kept him going through too. Gives him.
No, but like
Yeah.
that's his only plan. Like
Yeah.
he's
No.
relying on
Yeah.
that
You're right.
sole plan. That's
Yeah.
shocking.
And then he
That's not
gets out,
Lex
and now he's
Luthor.
got. Then now he gets out. He's got no direction. And I feel like,
Yeah.
in a weird way too, is this episode kind of flipped his focus as well. Like, his whole thing was taking down Lois because she put him in prison. But now, just because Clark beat him up, he's like, nah, I hate Superman now, too. Like, not that he liked Superman, but he's like, okay, now that's my big threat. Now I need to, make my suit and stuff like that. I'm going
Well,
to
it's
try to kill
kind
him
of
again.
like he's gone one step forward, two steps back because his attack dog didn't work. Him stepping up to the plate didn't work. So he's coming in with like the third big swing. So yeah, just a crazy because like the initial plan again, I don't like how late the plan is, but the initial plan of matching his strength is smart, and then taking away his strength is smart, right? Like level pegging him on different ways.
Level the playing field.
And I guess like it speaks to how much quote unquote humanity that or maybe impotence that Lex might feel in that he didn't think of powering himself up. He just kept thinking of ways to outsource matching his power or weaken Superman to be able to do something.
Yeah, that's an interesting perspective, and I didn't think about it like that, but you're right. It's either been lowering his power to meet where Lex is, or sending out a threat that is of equal importance.
And now he's going to be going on the like offense a little bit of just like, well, now I got to do my own. And you think we're going to be bringing in like kryptonite to it all? Because I feel like Superman Lois hasn't done a lot with kryptonite. Like some stuff, obviously, but like, think he gets the classic kryptonite sword or whatever.
He keeps shrugging it off, doesn't he?
Yeah, I do think. Well, the henchmen did use the kryptonite laser guns on Jordan at the beginning, but I much rather preferred the way that they did this fight with the Red Sun lights rather than Lex just punches Superman and is like, oh ha, I got a kryptonite shard in my hand, or I've got a kryptonite ring on, or something like that. I think that it was thematically a little bit cooler. Especially, you have the red light, you've got the, the rain coming down, and it looked cool.
It was such a breath of fresh air for just like, not to go back to the fight, but like Clark Kent to physically punch Lex Luthor, or Lex to physically punch Superman, not just be like, aha, I have this, take that, the like Michael. I actually thought it was a nice kind of, I guess the season's kind of been paralleling the Crisis Smallville moment when like Clark beat Lex without his powers. Like Clark was able to beat Lex even though Clark had no powers, kind of thing.
It's so cool. Sorry, it's just that Lex's whole thing is Lex versus Superman is God versus man versus God. You know what I mean? And to turn the fight onto such an equal playing field and just be so savage was phenomenal. And the fact that his head went through the window and everything, like, he made him suffer. It was so good.
The KO, with that being said, though, we've talked about all these shows for a good amount of time tonight. I think we are going to be wrapping up the stream. Hope everyone had a good evening. Hope everyone stayed safe during this hectic American tradition that we have. Taz, start with you. Where can people find you? Where are you located?
I am located youtube.com/ToxicTaz. Be on the lookout for the latest Superman and Lois review coming later this week.
Nice.
And what about you, Dar?
YouTube Darth Bunyan, come and say hi. I've been super lazy with everything's been at work, so I've been struggling to get some videos done, but they are coming. They are coming.
Absolutely. For me, Darren, after the pipeline this Thursday, we're going to be talking about Iron Man 2 on our MCU rewatch retrospective. And then next Tuesday, we should be back. Three of us should be back with the finale of Penguin, the episode 7 of Superman Lois, and some Hell of a Boss, episode 10. Yeah, season 2, episode 10. Darth, I thought the season was over. I thought season 2 was done. They were going to 3, but I guess they're just... Season 2 just keeps on going.
They took a big hiatus. They're worse than Invincible, is all I'm going to say.
Well, I mean, to be fair, they are like... They're not owned by a company, right? They're very small.
No, they're doing what they can. They're doing what they can. And honestly, the fact that, not to get too into the weeds, but you and I are waiting for a resolution of a situation, and that the resolution has not yet happened. That's coming next week. So the fact that we've had like a hiatus waiting for it, and then we're still not bloody getting the resolution, we still gotta wait, and then like we don't even know how long that's gonna take, like to get the next episode. Just sat there waiting in limbo to see that sexy owl again. God damn it!
From what I understand, they gave us 1 episode in October. We're getting 1 in November, and then 1 in December. So we will see. With that being said, ladies and gentlemen, we will see you on the flip side. Bye bye.
Bye.
Ooh.